Monday, August 13th, and it is a brand new episode of Let There Be Talk. How was your Monday? How was your weekend? How the hell are you? What's happening? I'm coming to you from the East Coast. It's raining today. I'm chilling, enjoying the relaxation today after a wild weekend in Kansas City with my man Joey Diaz. What a weekend. Thank you, Joey Diaz. God damn. Great crowds, great club. What was it? The Kansas City Improv. Amazing crowds. Thank you to any new listeners from the shows this weekend. Welcome, New Dell Razors. What a cool club it was. They had a bar hooked onto it that had a barcade, an arcade style, bar. I don't know if you guys have been to these, but they got shitloads of video games in a bar, and the games are like free. Old classics like Donkey Kong, Frogger, Defender, Tempest, Paperboy. What else? Just all the greats. Gorf. I was playing Gorf. I wouldn't even have remembered that game unless I saw it. Gorf. And I kicked Gorf's ass. I'm happy to say. I remember. My game skills just come out. My video game skills just come out from the old days. I tell you, man, the arcade, I felt like I flew, not to Kansas City, but I flew back in time when I flew there. Because I was in an arcade listening to rock and roll. They were playing rock music. And, and I just had like I was in heaven, like at the arcade early on to me, it was like early rock star shit. If you were killing on a game, people would circle around and watch and like root for you, just like, oh, yeah, oh, fuck, watch out. It was pretty amazing, the arcade back in the day. I miss the old Encounter Zone. That was the name of my place, where you got the tokens. Remember tokens? Oh, you ever go to the arcade and they'd try to rip you off? 3 tokens for $1? Fuck those guys. Special place in hell for those greedy owners. Or when pinball went from 5 balls to 3. Oh, just trying to rob the kids. Why are you robbing kids? They're young. You see, you're evil. You're already robbing kids. You grow up to be fucking evil politicians or something. You got no problem robbing kids. Anyway, I don't know. I'm rambling. But anyway, it was great to be in an arcade. Time just flies by when I'm in an arcade. I'll just be in there in my own world, trying to remember patterns, Pac-Man patterns, shit like that. I think Tempest is the greatest. For me, Tempest was the greatest game. It was just so hard and cool. Tempest, I love Dig Dug and Popeye. Those were my games. And anyway, thank you, Kansas City. Thank you, Joey Diaz. Something cool happened to me while I was in Kansas City. Not only did I eat way too much goddamn barbecue, some good barbecue, People are like, it's the best, right? Best barbecue you ever had, Kansas City, right? Yeah, it was good. All barbecue's good. It's like cocaine. You got a lot of good barbecue, and then you got some great barbecue that makes your arm go numb. You know what I mean? Where you're like, uh-oh, I think I snorted a little too much. I don't know. I just woke up. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I had some great barbecue. But the cool thing that did happen to me was I met some amazing people at Wyco Vintage, Patrick and Adam. These guys were amazing. I'd been following this Instagram for a long time and on eBay, Wyco Vintage. And I didn't know who they were, and they reached out to me like, hey, you want to do a podcast? And I was like, oh, these are those fucking vintage rock and roll T-shirt guys. And I was like, absolutely. So they picked me up at the hotel on Friday and took me over to their place, and my head fucking fell off. They had over 3,000 insane vintage rock and roll T-shirts and all kinds of crazy like record store cutouts and memorabilia and posters. I couldn't believe it, man. I went the first day, we did the podcast, and then they dropped me off. And I talked to them later that night. They came to the show, and I was like, look, man, I don't think I saw that place properly. I need to go back and take it all in again. It was like an overload, man, a sensory overload of like every rock shirt I've ever loved and had back in the day and wanted again. There they were, just perfect. AC/DC, Rolling Stones, The Clash, Judas Priest. I got a Maiden shirt. I got a Number of the Beast shirt from the tour I saw at Day in the Green when they came through on the Number of the Beast tour. And I wore the thing the whole weekend, and I even wore it yesterday when I got home. And what it did to me was it made me dive back into Number of the Beast. I do that about once a year, and I'll tell you what, man, I couldn't stop listening to the Number of the Beast. There's so many arguments over what's the best Maiden record, and you know, that's a great argument to have, because if you're a band, people are arguing what's the greatest record you made. You know you've made some classics. I mean, look at Maiden, you know, Peace of Mind, Somewhere in Time, of course, the Di'Anno years, Iron Maiden, Killers, and all that. But to me, you know, most people get into, is it Power Slave? Is it Peace of Mind? Is it Number of the Beast? Is it Killers? And to me, it's Number of the Beast, man. When you put that fucking thing on and a brand new vocalist, you got to think about these bands that pulled off the ultimate fucking Houdini challenge, man. I don't know why I said Houdini. Hilarious. But you know what I mean? Like AC/DC. I mean, Maiden's singer didn't die. But, you know, like Maiden and AC/DC got new singers, you know, midway through their career and got bigger. I mean, when this Number of the Beast record came out, it was a new record with Dickinson. And just immediately exploded into another level. I love this thing, man. Invaders. Whenever I hear it, I always think he says, in Vegas. In Vegas. Children of the Damned, The Prisoner, 22 Acacia Avenue, Number of the Beast, Run to the Hills, Gangland. How it be thy name, man. This is a masterpiece. And the shirt set it off. I put the shirt on and I just went right back into 1982 full Maiden mode, man. Anyway, what's really cool is Wyco Vintage is now my sponsor for Let There Be Talk. And I can't think of a better sponsor to have, right? Just amazing rock t-shirts. If you always wanted that rock t-shirt that you had way long time ago, and maybe it disintegrated like a lot of mine did, because I would buy a rock t-shirt and I would only wear it to school every day, like Back in Black shirt. I wore it every day. People look at you like a weirdo. I still do the same thing now. I still do the same thing now. I still do the same thing today, man. I'll wear a shirt straight up for a week. You come to one of my shows, I'm wearing the same clothes the whole time. I don't give a fuck. Anyway, you always wanted a rock t-shirt. You got to go to wycovintage.com. You're going to get a discount with the code DELRAISER, DELRAISER. Do not sleep, man. These guys have the best rock and roll t-shirts ever. Vintage. Original. These are not remakes. These are the originals. They go out, they bust their ass, they find these things. They buy people's collections too. If you've got maybe your grandfather or your uncle worked for a band and has all kinds of old rock and roll memorabilia, these guys buy that stuff. So it's a two-way street, man. You either buy something from them or you could sell them something. Go to the website. Go to their Instagram. Tell them that you heard about them today from me. Let's blow these guys up because I love what they do. Follow them on Instagram, Wyco, WYCO vintage.com, or Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And give them a shout out. Get a shirt. Oh my God, my Maiden shirt rocks. Look at some of their stuff on my Instagram feed. I'll be posting it up over the next week. I love all you guys, man, and I love that new sponsor. God, so cool. Speaking of sponsors, here's some cool Patreon friends. Oh my God, you want to support the podcast, go to patreon.com/Dean Del Rey and donate to the podcast. This week we got Christopher Karif, Brian Roberts, Rick Texeria. Man, that's a crazy name. Texeria. Rick Texeria, just destroying your name for the donation. Thank you. Donate and I'll destroy your name, people. That's what I'll do. Matthew Malachi. Oh, Malachi, like the Malachi brothers. Remember those guys on Happy Days? You'll get the Malachi Crunch if you don't look out. The Malachi Crunch. That's how old I am. People right now are going, what the fuck is he talking about? And then my buddy Fletch is laughing. Malachi Crunch. You don't say that. Hey, this week, Denver. I'm going to be in Denver this week, headlining, 3 days only. Tell a friend, come on. I'm filling in. Someone canceled, so I want to rock this place. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Denver Comedy Works South. Come see me, headlining, running an hour, having some fun. We'll keep the candles lit. Virginia, I'm coming your way with Bill Burr, September 14, 15. South Carolina, Charleston to be exact. I will be with Bill Burr, September 16th. Joey Diaz and I invade Foxwoods Casino in Connecticut on September 28th and September 29th, 2 nights at the Wilbur Theater with Joey Diaz. God, it's going to be a great couple of months here of shows. Get your ass out there. Get tickets at DeanDelRey.com. Do not sleep. Guest today. Unbelievable guest. Love this man. Had him on, and man, did we talk some fucking music. Jamey Jasta of Hatebreed is here today. And what a great guest. What a great man. It was amazing to talk to him. This guy has built an empire. He is a straight up hard worker like myself. This guy is going for it 24/7. You know what I mean? He's got all kinds of shit in the fire. He's got a brand new Snider record out that he co-wrote with some people, and I think he produced it. But have you heard this Snider record? Oh my God, it's fucking great. It's like fierce metal with D singing, man. D's vocals sound better than ever. I don't know how, you know, D is just a magic man. I saw him a couple years ago, the last Twisted Sister show, and the guy blew the fucking roof off the place. And now he's got this metal band, and he's out touring. So get on it. Also go see Jamey Jasta. He's out there touring. He's got all kinds of great things. He's got a podcast on Gaslamp Digital. And you're going to love this conversation. We talk some crazy shit. We talk a little Ted Nugent. We talk some football, which I never talk about, but I used to like football at one time. We talk politics, metal, punk rock, hardcore. We dive way into the Cro-Mags love and all that. So thank you guys. Keep the candles lit. Here he is, Mr. Jamey Jasta. Hey, what's up? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let There Be Talk. Today I have a fantastic guest. Introduce yourself.
Jamey from Hatebreed, Jasta. Yeah. What else do I do? I have a podcast, The Jasta Show.
Yeah.
I have a new one, a movie podcast called How Awesome Is This?
New movie podcast.
Yeah,
is that the one on Gaslight?
Gas Digital, yep.
Yeah, Gas Digital.
And I'm going to expand, though, into albums and events, too, because...
Yeah, you don't want to box yourself in.
Yeah. So it's just going to be anything that's awesomely awesome or awesomely bad. We have 3 episodes of that up now. And for a while, I did a little MMA podcast, too, called Fight Buddies, which I just brought it back. I had Chael Sonnen on, and that episode did really good. So I was like, maybe I should bring that back, too. But now I'm getting like, all right, enough is enough. You're getting too fucking spread thin.
I just like to have one and then talk about whatever.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to go, except I'm really trying to separate the sponsorships, because when I did the Jasta show, I had like Adidas MMA sponsoring it, but then I couldn't get certain MMA guests that I wanted. I had like Kimbo Slice.
Because they were locked in on their own sponsors?
Well, because it's so few and far between when I can see one of those guys when I'm on the road.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I think during that time I had Duff McKagan on the show, and the show was huge, and he kind of is into like some martial arts.
Yep.
But I want the audience to really help the sponsor and vice versa.
Right.
And
I only have sponsors on of shit I like.
Me too.
Man, I don't fuck around. Like, people come out with this garbage stuff. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, you have to say no.
And I need money.
Yeah.
But I'm like, nah,
Yeah, you need to say no sometimes. I did one thing for like a testosterone booster, and I was like, I don't really know the science behind this. It was weird, but it was only like 2 episodes, and then I was glad that I didn't have to do that again. But then I had another one where this guy Mike Mahler, he has like a natural supplement company, and his stuff was, shout out to him. He did a bunch of episodes, but I was like, damn, it would have been cool if he was on board and sponsoring, like when I had Chael Sonnen on, because maybe his fans would be like, yeah, I want some of these enzymes, or I want some of these recovery supplements and testosterone boosters. But yeah, it's hard to
I mean, I recently lost weight, and so I have people on that have stuff that they've created that I'm using, like On It,
right,
or No Cal bars, stuff that I'm using, because people are like, hey man, what are you eating and stuff, because I quit sugar a couple years ago.
Oh, that's
and they're
great.
like, well, what the fuck do you eat now? And I was like, oh man, I mean, I wish I had a podcast like mine at the time, because if you listen to what I'm eating now, then you know, because nobody ever helps you, it's like, nutrition's such a weird thing. People are just kind of like, oh, well, eat this, that, and that. Then the next week it's like, don't eat this, that, and that. You're like, what the fuck? Don't eat eggs. Eat eggs, It's
don't eat the yolk.
Yeah.
Fuck the white. Eat just the yolk.
It's insane.
I had the worst fucking food raging moment last night. I fell off so hard. I was doing no sugar, and then I saw an old friend of mine, and I don't know what we were talking about. We did an episode of my podcast, and I don't know what we were talking about, but then it hit me, and I went across the street, and I got these, like, you ever see those like $9 chocolate bars that are filled with like...
Oh, yeah, like old school Cadbury kind of shit, just caramel oozing out like semen, right? You're just like, I mean, I'm not on that semen like that, but you know what I mean? Just, I used to get that shit like they got right here, Greenblatt's by my house. They have the ones that are like from France.
Yes.
And they're just like, what the fuck is in this? It's so good.
The guy says to me, he goes, these are $9 each. And so now he's trying to one-up me.
Yeah.
So I go, all right, I'll take 3 then. Because I have to one-up him.
Yeah.
Like in any...
What are you looking at me like I'm a dirtbag, right? Hey, that's hilarious.
Like at Subway when they're like, when I'm like, hey, can I get extra pickles or can I get extra avocado?
Yeah.
We have to charge you for that. Okay, can you give me triple? Just to be like, I shouldn't be like that, but it's funny in the moment.
There's a great story I once heard about Slash where he went into the Porsche dealer and no one would talk to him. This is after the first record blows up, and he's just walking around in there barefoot in leathers, probably just a vest with the belly.
No shirt on underneath.
No shirt on,
just pierced nipples and a pierced belly button.
Talking to him. And then I heard that like one of the the detailers or whatever went, whoa, here's Slash. And he's like, yeah, you working? He's like, oh yeah. And he goes, I want a two, and I want to make sure you get the commission. I don't know if it's real because I've been dying to ask Slash, but if it is, that's a great fucking story.
That's amazing. I had a moment like that right after we signed to Universal, and my girl, who I have a daughter with, she had really helped me in like these dark places, like going through. I signed bad deals. I had lawyers, and we get to Universal. We signed this, this huge deal, and I'm gonna buy a house, and I'm gonna buy a car, and I'm gonna put some money away for my daughter's college, and I'm all psyched. And it was Christmas time, and I was like, I gotta go get my girl, some jewelry. Like, right, that's the thing that dudes do. Now I would never do that because I think it's the stupidest fucking thing ever. I found out they have like a 500% markup, and it's half of the shit's garbage.
Diamonds are like the biggest scam in the world. I can't even believe that people fall for diamonds.
Yeah, what is it?
Somehow Years ago, they were like, let's just tell people this is worth shit.
Yes.
And they're like, well, how much? And we go, we just tell them it's worth whatever we want. And then the people fall for it.
Yeah. So I go in the store and I got a hoodie on. I put the hoodie off and I'm waiting. And it's busy because it's Christmas time. You know, it's busy and and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And I have $6,000 cash in my pocket, all hundreds.
Yeah.
And I was worried about that. I was walking around thinking like, this is stupid. Like, but I was going to go hard. And I said to a friend, like, how much is like, I don't believe in marriage, so I wasn't going to get married, but I was like, how much is like an engagement ring? And he's like, it should be like a month's salary plus this, plus that. And I was like, well, what is that?
I
don't know. Yeah, I guess there is.
Formula.
We should Google that. I think there is a formula for what like an engagement would be. And she there was times where I promoted shows where she came and bailed me out, like if I lost money on a show, or there was times when I was drunk, wasted, and she come pick me up at the bus station. There was times where I had to take Greyhounds from the studio, and just she was there, so I was like, I gotta hook her up,
Right.
And this motherfucker goes, sir, I'm gonna need you to remove the hoodie. Like, and I had already taken
the hoodie.
I already had taken my hood down.
Yeah.
And so I go to like motion like the hood, like is it up too high or whatever? And I go, what do you mean? So I think it was this band that I'm wearing the T-shirt of right now.
Cannibal Corpse.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think it had like
Satan shit on it.
So it had like a woman getting like eaten out like by a dead person or something. I forget what the artwork was.
Yeah, some beautiful artwork for Christmas.
On the back it said like eaten back to life or something.
Yeah.
Or like butchered at birth. I don't know. It said something offensive on it. And I was like, and so I looked down and so it was a scene, and then everybody looked at me like, you piece of shit. Like what is it? And they're all looking at my hoodie, and I was like, you are the dumbest motherfucker. I just walked out. I was like, you just lost. I was gonna drop so much money. So then I called my mother, and she's like, oh, I know this jeweler. I used to work for this guy. Go see him, and he's down in New Haven. And sure enough, I go down there, and this guy's amazing. He's like, everything he does is like a work of art, and he custom made me for like a sixth of the price of what I was gonna spend.
Yeah, instead of going to like a jeweler. At
yeah, because I went into that's what I did.
Yeah, Ben Bridge Jewelers.
There's this rapper guy. A buddy of mine is a video director, and he's been trying to link me up with this rapper. He's always copying me on emails and texts to this rapper guy. His name is Riff Raff, and he follows me on Twitter. And he's like, "You got to do a podcast with this guy Riff Raff." And so I Googled him and I looked on some of his videos, and one of his sayings, and his claim to fame is, all his jewelry that he wears ain't no middle of the mall shit.
Holy shit.
This ain't no middle of the mall shit.
Yeah, the middle of the mall. Yeah. This
like,
ain't no kiosk.
I'm like, that's genius.
Fuck you and your kiosk. Yeah.
That is fucking genius. Shout out to Riff Raff.
Wow.
That guy's laughing all the way to the bank. That guy's amazing.
Riff Raff. One of the greatest AC/DC songs of all time.
Yeah, let's talk about your AC/DC thing, because I saw clips on Instagram and stuff, and I thought, that is so cool. I don't know what I did to Mark Maron. I sent him vinyl. He followed me on Twitter. I followed him. I shot him messages. I think we traded emails. I wanted him to be on my show. Then next thing you know, his podcast is huge. This is years ago.
Right.
This is 2014 or 2013. When did I get on Twitter? 2009. So I've been on Twitter for a while. I sent him a box of vinyl. I know he had CM Punk on his show. I'm friendly with CM Punk. You do this thing. I'm like, man, let me check out Mark's Twitter to see if Mark posted any videos. He doesn't follow me anymore. I'm like, motherfucker. The two, I would never be offended.
Yeah.
The two people who unfollowed me that I was bummed out was Mike Tyson and Mark Maron. That's it.
Well,
but I think Mike Tyson, I punished him so hard because I was trying to get him to come to this Vegas event that we were doing, because the promoter, we did this festival called 48 Hours Festivals. The promoter was like, I'm going to give Mike Tyson this huge amount of money, and then I'll give you a finder's fee because I had saw Mike at Ellen out here. My manager manages Dolly Parton, so I went to see Dolly Parton. I took my daughter, and we were on the Ellen show, and Mike was a guest, and I was like, I wrote him on Twitter, hey, I'm here, let's say what's up. And he's always been cool. I've sat next to him on a couple flights, and he's always been cool, but I don't know who was running his Twitter, but I think I punished him too hard. He unfollowed me. I was like, no.
I don't. It's so funny because I often see, like, I'll have people on the podcast and they'll follow me for a couple months and then they'll unfollow. And I just whatever.
It never bothers me because
it doesn't bother me. Yeah.
But those were the only two. Those two, I was like, fuck, like, what did I do to Mark Maron?
Yeah.
I must have been pumping out I must have been tweeting about, like, my Blue Apron or something. And he saw it, was like, fuck this.
Well, I think that, I think also I'll dabble in people's Twitters for a while and then I'll drop out of it. But now you can just mute it for a while because sometimes people go crazy and start promoting something they're working on and it'll be on there like every 5 minutes in your feed and you're like, all right, I got to blank this out for a little bit,
Yeah, live tweeting like a show they wrote.
Yeah, oh man, that makes me crazy when they live tweet like sporting events or fucking the Academy Awards or something. It's just your feed all night. It's like, oh man.
The other thing too is when people have unfollowed me in the past, the name Hatebreed and the content and the sound is so scary. Like once I sent him, he said, send me some vinyl. So once I sent him the box of vinyl, I was like, that might be it. I might,
because that's really his style of music.
Right?
He's like one of my best friends. I get it. So it's not. I definitely know that it would be nothing personal. Like, oh fuck this.
Well, also I've come out and I've said, look, a lot of motherfuckers have bitch ears, and so once you take that stance, and I like loud amps in the face. I like all styles of music, but I have been critical of people who don't like the heavy shit, and I've had say so. Maybe I always say, look, don't be offended by it. I just think, look, there's some people who are super strong that fucking kill me in a fight, that will knock me out, but they listen to the most pussy music.
Right.
And it is what it is. Like, I don't knock them for it. I just say, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Your ears are a little soft.
Yeah.
It's not a insult. It's just how I feel. It's just like if someone who's a fucking heavyweight champion said to me, like, yo, your punch is a little soft. I go, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. I listen to some of the heaviest music there is. It's funny because I was talking to Louis J. Gomez and he was like, hey, we got Jamey on the network now and stuff. But it was funny because he had Ari Shaffir come up to me. I didn't know what they were planning. And Ari said, Dean, what's the heaviest hardcore bands there are of all time? Who's the heaviest? And I could tell they were coming at me with some kind of thing. They blanked me, and I said, oh, Cro-Mags, And he goes, who else? I go, Black Flag, for sure, And then Ari looked at him and goes, see? No Hatebreed. No Hatebreed. Dean knows music. But that being said I'm 52 years old.
Yeah.
So I come from a different era, and by the time Hatebreed really hits, it's kind of that Monster Energy drink Ozfest era that I've already tapped out on. You know what I mean? Because I listen to some of the most hardcore music there is, and I saw Age of Quarrel tour, and it was one of the most mind-boggling things ever. I've seen Rollins a zillion times. I worship Rollins. I think he's one of the best. But during your time when you guys hit 96, 97 and everything, I remember Under the Knife, but I was really into, at that time, alt country. 100%. I was way into like Wilco and Jayhawks and Lucinda Williams. I was in another world, and I get like that. Like I'll go through years of something and then be like, man, I got to get some fresh air here,
Yeah, no, and it's a matter of perspective and it's a matter of what the timing is. Like, to me, Black Flag, it's great, and I listened to it, and we covered Black Flag on our covers album in like 2009 or 2008, but I listen to it now and I go, it's not heavy.
Right.
It's loud, it's abrasive, it's brutal, but there's a difference between heavy and brutal. And I try to explain to people, like, especially when we get told no, like Hatebreed, we're the band that we get told no all the time. Like if a band's technically proficient and they're also in the same genre and the name isn't scary and the vocals are less abrasive, they get the TV show appearance, they get the bigger festival.
Right.
So we've painted ourselves into a certain corner, but if someone goes to me like, Black Flag or Cro-Mags is heavier than us. Like, to me, I go, well, that's like saying like bacon is like less greasy than a hamburger. It's like,
It's just
what are you
different
saying?
eras.
Yeah, it's like,
I mean, you got to look
it's-
without Cro-Mags and Black
yeah, there
Flag,
is no Hatebreed.
There's no Hatebreed.
Yeah, and also
it's like when people say, and I was just talking to somebody about this, where the thing was like somebody had said, "Well, I don't really look as Judas Priest as metal." Now, well, that's because of where metal went. But no one was doing like screaming for vengeance, like.
Right, I had Brent from Mastodon on the show, and that caused a whole big thing. My social media fucking went crazy. People were so mad because he said Judas Priest wasn't metal, and I was like, dude, Painkiller. But he was talking about like Sad Wings of Destiny.
Yeah.
He was saying like their classic rock. And I get it. It's when
also a different era. Each time
Absolutely.
it's different era. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like,
Like, we
dude,
could-
look at fucking. If you look at like Meshuggah now.
Yes, that's heavy.
There's nothing
That's
as crazy
heavy.
heavy as that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's heavy. That metal infusion that we did. Look, we were the band. We played squats. We had Neil from Nausea booked our first tour, one of our first tours. We played squats. We were too metal for the hardcore guys, too hardcore for the metal guys, too fucking bro for the punk people. We're like,
Right.
oh, because we drink beer and we have tattoos and we think, punk rock is kind of cheesy. Like, we're bros now. Like,
Yeah.
So we always had these different tags.
And
And
that '90s era
it is what it is.
really gets looped into. If you look at it, it really comes down to all of Ozfest.
Well, even before that, like in the victory bands, like it was so much testosterone,
Right.
and so much anger, and so much of like displaced sort of people who felt there was injustice in the world and all that stuff. Now we look back and you just go, well, it's just, growing pains.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, especially my dad's a Vietnam vet. I grew up in the inner city. I went to inner city schools. I took the bus. I had food stamps. Like, I could see how like rich kid hardcore and rich kid punk rock, I could see why they didn't like us. We didn't like them. They didn't like us. I mean,
Right.
we would go play the collective shows where everybody votes and everybody says, oh my God, let's, like, Gilman Street would never let us play. But then I was like, well, that, we aspire to bigger things. I think what Gilman Street did was great. I think what ABC...
It was amazing.
I think what ABC No Rio did was great. I think what Neil and Nausea and Final Conflict and all those crust punk bands, I think it was great. They chose an alternative path in their life. But to me, I looked at Ozzy and Judas Priest and Slayer and I go, I want to open for them. I want to do them. And then, when you're being ripped off by a label and Jägermeister comes to you or Monster comes for you and they're like, we'll promote you more than the
Your
label
label,
will promote you, and you have a daughter that you got to put through college.
I get it, man.
You know that the guy in the crust punk squat show is gonna go, oh my God, fuck you! You're taking Jaeger's money, you're taking Monster Energy's money, you're taking Viacom's money. When I got the Headbangers Ball job, that was everybody loved to fucking pounce on me for that, and I was like, are you going to put my kid through college?
Well, all that shit's bullshit, man.
And half these people are dead, just so you know, by the way.
Not only that, half of them don't do anything. You know what I mean? I mean, I've been saying fuck you to anybody that calls anyone a sellout my whole life, because you can just eat dicks. I've starved. I'm 52 years old right now. I live in an apartment in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Never, ever made the money. But if somebody came up to me and said, we're going to do this tour and it's sponsored by such, I'm like, yeah, I need to finally get some money. You know what I mean? I don't own it. Some guy in my Twitter feed, people are just delusional. He goes, hey, you've made it now, man. Buy a house instead of that shitty apartment. It's like, are you out of your mind? Like, buy a house where? With what kind of down payment? And proof of income. Who's giving me a loan,
Right, but once you have those roots, you're always going to be held to a certain flame, and that's fine, and I don't know, what was the comedian's name that you were talking to Lewis with?
Oh, Ari Shaffir.
Yeah, I don't know him. Is he older than me?
I don't think he's probably about your age, 40, but he's not a hardcore guy.
Oh,
he was just, not at all, dude. He was just, he's like, I hadn't heard of them. And then
And Lewis is like, they're the heaviest.
He goes, oh, they're the heaviest of all time. So he goes, well, let's ask Dean. He's the music freak over here.
Right,
Which made me feel good, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I love Ari because he loves to shoot lighter fluid on Lewis, you know what I mean? They're great friends.
He's the one that is Ari the one that Jason is now tweeting, or Lewis is now tweeting Jason Ellis about like fighting at his.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and also Ari is taking his thunder. It's great of like my festival, the Skank Fest, and all that shit.
Yeah, because I just was on Legion of Skanks but what's the other guy? There's another guy too that
Big
breaks.
J?
No, the other guy that breaks Lewis's balls too, or does everybody do that?
Well, that's New York. It's great. They all break each other's balls. It's awesome. Yeah, you got Dave, you got Big J.
Yeah,
and that's the Skanks, and they're just fucking great.
They're killing it. All these guys are killing it. Like I
love that crew because they are real dudes. You know, they'll bust each other's balls, but they'll also bust other people's, doors down if they fucking go after the people. You know?
Well, comedy. We're trying to mimic what comedy has done. What this guy Ari and Lewis and Jay and you and Rogan and Marin. What we're trying to do with music is we're trying to mimic what you guys have done with comedy and podcasting. You've revolutionized it. Like this, Lewis is telling me, about these numbers that these podcasts are doing and the shows, and I'm seeing it. Like when we just did a tour. We sold like over 14,000 tickets or almost 14,000 tickets in like 17 days on this last run.
Rad.
And we sold like, I want to say over 500 VIPs.
Wow.
And every person in the VIP is like, I love the podcast.
Dude, those VIPs are bullshit, man. Making your fans pay more. That's fucking... Why don't you just come out front by the bus and sign this shit for free, man?
Right.
I'm just giving you a live tweet right there.
Yeah. That has happened.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't happen anymore because then when people are waiting by the bus and then they see the level of drunk person, like I did for fun at the Providence show. We ended in Providence. I said, you know what? I'm going to go out and talk to everybody by the bus.
Yeah.
So I did. And I waited about an hour. So it was really the strong survived.
Thinned out.
Because it was cold as fuck too. Even though it was March, it was cold as fuck. So there's only out of the 40 that were originally out there, only like 7 survived after an hour.
Yeah.
And so
those are the ones you got to let on the bus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just come on, smoke some weed or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I peeked out the window and my car was parked behind the bus because I was driving home. It was the last show. And 2 of the 7 were fucking hammered, and I knew I was gonna get like the
and you don't drink, right?
No,
me either.
Yeah, so the close talker.
Oh, and loud talker, and the grab ya.
Yes.
Talker, the
Yeah.
grab you talker can eat a dick.
Oh.
I was in a motorcycle crash a couple of years ago. I'm still pretty fucking fragile on my neck and shoulder, and they'll get you like, dude,
Yep.
I love you, dude. It's like, look, I'm glad you're here, but fucking get off me. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Well, so I go out and I love these people. I would be nowhere without them.
Absolutely.
Everything I have in my life, I owe to my daughter, my girl, and my
fans.
My fans.
Yep.
And my dad and my mom, of course, too. They're still around. They're still kicking. They're awesome. But the fans, they sometimes can be so similar to each other, it's scary.
Yeah.
And they must think, and bands are like that too. Like you play a show, I'm sure you see this with comedians, where you go, and I've seen that comedians they'll switch the bill up, like, oh, let me have a woman open, or let me have someone who, if I'm an impressionist, let me have someone who doesn't do impressions.
You don't want to have you don't want to have 4 Hatebreeds on the bill.
Well, we used to do that.
I know, it's rough, because after a while you're like, which band's on right now? Yeah.
Why is this guy telling me to circle pit and the last guy told me to circle pit?
Into the pit.
Yeah. And so I knew what I was getting into. So I go out and he's like, yes, thank you. He takes his shirt off and it's cold out.
Yeah.
His body is steaming. He gives me the shirt. Now, I don't know who the band's shirt was. I got to go look at it. I threw it in the laundry when I got home.
Yeah.
And he's telling me who it was. And I know he's going to probably listen to this and be like, dude, that was me.
Yeah.
That happens all the time too when I talk about fans. But so he gives me the shirt and I'm like, thank you. Now, meanwhile, I'm not a germaphobe, but I'm at the point where I was coming off being sick.
Oh, yeah, man. This year, man, I've shaken a lot of hands. I got pink eye last year. First time, 51 years old, got pink eye.
Ain't that a bitch?
Dude, you're like,
You know what that's from?
Yeah.
Some dirty motherfucker just was wiping his ass.
And didn't wash his hands.
Yep, and came and shook your hand.
I know.
That motherfucker.
And I got shit finger, and I rubbed my eye not thinking. Oh, my God. Did you ever got that? It's brutal. Your eye just fucking seals shut, and it just starts oozing like syphilis eye.
Brutal. You ever fart on someone's pillow just to do that to them?
No.
Yeah, like if someone's a real dick. I did that back in the day to an old roommate. You just fart on their pillow, and then, he
They
comes.
get pink eye?
Yep.
Whoa.
Yeah, you got to... I would edit that out. Anyways,
No, that's hilarious.
So no, don't do that. It's rude. So I'm still in my stage clothes. I was like, hold on, you know what? I'll be right back because it's cold. I mean, this guy's fucking steaming.
Yep.
From the coldness or whatever. So I go in, I change, I come back out. They're still out there. I was like, fuck. So I'm talking to them. I take pictures.
Yeah.
And it's an exchange of energy. And so I get a lot of passionate, intense energy. You've saved my life, and I'm fortunate and I'm grateful. So now I have my wet stage clothes. I have his wet shirt. I go to my car. I put it in my car. I drive home. I stop at Foxwoods. I'm like, don't do it. I go in. I lose some money. I'm like, why did you fucking do it? Yeah. Why? So now I'm pissed. I go home. It's fucking 4 a.m. I forget the stage clothes and the wet T-shirt that guy gave me, and I go about my day. I sleep all day. I'm sick. I'm run down. The next day, my daughter and me, we go out. We go see her grandmother. She drives, so I go with her. I come home. I go to bed. I wake up. The next day, I go out again. And then I start realizing I don't have my belt. I'm like, where the fuck is my belt? I'm like, oh, they're on my stage shorts. Now it's 2 days later.
Yeah.
So I go to my car. I open up the car.
Ooh.
And it gotten warmer, and I have tinted windows on my car, so the heat really beats down.
Yeah.
Dude, the ammonia. Ooh. I open the door. I get this blast of ammonia. The fucking soaking wet, sweaty clothes. Not only did it fuck up my seat of my car, of this brand new car, the fucking ammonia waft that came out of this car, I was like, this is disgusting. And so it just...
dude. I remember one time I left an old Jamba Juice in my car. Like I drank the Jamba Juice and there was maybe about a 1/4 inch left. And I put it on the floor or whatever and went and did something. And then drove and it went under the seat. And the next day I opened the car. Oh my God. Just
brutal.
Deadly rotten fruit. Punch in the face. It smelled like just foot. Like a rotten foot in my car. And I was like, what is that smell? I couldn't figure it out for a day. And then I climbed in the seat and found that old Jamba. And it was in the car for like a month.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Horrible. Then I go in, I'm like, fuck. I'm using tongs. I go in, I put it in the washer machine.
Tongs.
And I put it on, I have a sanitary cycle.
Yeah.
Where it goes like blazing hot, whatever. And the shirt was inside out, but I wanted to see what shirt he was giving me because he had this whole story of why he gave me the shirt. So then I go about my day and I'm scatterbrained. I'm trying to hand my podcasts in. I'm trying to get plans. I got to go on Legion of Skanks. I got to go into the city. I forget it in the lawn. I forget it in the wash. I never put it in the dryer. So then it sat in there.
Yeah.
And then I fucking go there and I open up the washing machine. Now it sat there overnight again.
Yeah.
It like reignited the ammonia in it.
Oh my God.
I'm like, fuck, dude. I just threw it all out.
Yeah. Cursed. That shit was cursed.
I just threw it all out.
Oh, man.
And I don't want to say to fans, don't give me gifts because then I opened my bag and this guy did like woodworking and he gave us like all our Hatebreed logos like made out of woodwork.
Yeah.
There was like paintings that people gave me of me. Like this whole tour was amazing. It was a nostalgia tour. It was from the first 2 albums.
Right.
So a lot of people came out of the woodwork.
Satisfaction record.
Yeah. All these old hardcore heads and people that.
And what'd you do? Just those 2?
Yeah, we ended up having to pepper in other stuff because the first record's 26 minutes. So we want to do.
Is that an EP technically? I mean, or
no,
it's just like a short
album,
hardcore album.
Yeah, Rain and
3 minutes.
Rain and Blood's 27 minutes, I think, or 28 minutes. So we got away with it. But yeah, we wanted to do an hour. So we peppered in some other stuff, but people gave me so much stuff, and I don't know if you have storage rooms, but I have 3 now.
Oh yeah, I'm not going that.
I had 5.
You see my house right here?
Yeah.
Everything in here is for sale right now.
Okay.
I don't want to have anything but my records, that stereo right there, and my clothes. Everything else will be gone. I'm 52. My new thing, I don't want to have anything. So
Me
when
too.
people hit me
Minimalism.
up, yeah, I'm digging in, man. I wish this shit sold quicker. It would be empty in here. That box right there is like hundreds of posters I've been carrying around for 25 years. When I buy a house, I'm going to have those framed. It's going to be, fuck all this, man. And those are some crazy vintage shit in there. But, fuck all that. The freedom is what I'm into. And the,
yes.
And the hand off the throat, the strangling, you know?
Yes. The freedom of materialism and materialistic things and items that do not serve you. But then I run into the problem of fans then become offended. They worked on this. They slaved over it. It's a gift. They want to give it to you. I mean, I have people that did like crochet. I have people that did like weaving. I mean, I have so much stuff. I have backdrops. I have probably 30,000 t-shirts in storage.
30,000.
It's insane.
It's funny because there's a stack there and there's a stack in my bedroom. I'm slowly selling them because I lost 40 pounds. So I got all these XLs.
Right.
So I'm putting them up on eBay. 175 shirts. And I thought that was lunacy.
Yeah.
30,000 shirts for real?
Yeah, it might even be more. And some of it's stuff that I printed on my own that's leftovers and stuff that didn't sell. And some of it's stock of other bands. Like one time I bought 4,000 shirts off this band. I won't say who. I thought they were going to sell. Then they had a problem. Then they broke up. Then they got back together. They changed lineups. That those won't sell. I mean, well, I started to.
Yeah.
But then I had shirts that were so offensive.
Oh, yeah.
And back in the Ozfest days and stuff, the more offensive the shirt, the better it sold. Now you can't do any of that.
No, you can't. Is there like a restriction in the venue where they say you can't have that shirt in here for sale? Or
some of them, yeah. There was a shirt we had. It wasn't a Hatebreed shirt, but there was a shirt that we did for a clothing line that had a gun on it, and they wouldn't take them at Goodwill because it had a offensive saying and a gun on it. I won't say what, but
yeah.
And then I was like, why the fuck did we print this stupid shit? And the world changes. Everything's constantly changing and everything's constantly evolving, except our material items, right? Like sometimes they incur value, but most of the time they're a depreciating asset. I do believe that.
Absolutely, 100%. That's why I always buy shit that's worth money, that's going up, because I call them parachutes. Whenever my life's bad, I can sell them instantly. But most things you buy, as soon as you leave, it's worth shit.
Exactly. You know? It depreciates instantly.
Instantly. Cars, anything, trinkets around the house drive me crazy now. I got a kitchen full. They're in the kitchen for now on, though. Like my Evel Knievel dolls, my old G.I. Joe, Kiss dolls, that kind of stuff. I love forever. Now I'm like, I don't give a fuck about this shit anymore. You know what I mean? I can go on YouTube, look at Evel Knievel jump Caesars, and I'm good for a week.
There you go.
Yeah, it's really weird. It used to be and also I don't really like people coming over to my house other than podcast guests, because when I'm home, I just want to sleep and be in a quiet zone, so I don't have people over. So why do I have all this shit? You know what I mean?
Same here. It's a social status. It's an exercise in something that probably isn't serving you.
Yeah.
I don't have people over either, ever. And I tell people, don't take offense. It's not about you. It's about me. I'm going in the matrix. That's what I call it.
I'm a weird. I'm an only child. So it really...
I'm the middle, so I had to balance shit out.
But hated it also now because I know I'm a weirdo. Like everything I have is mint. Like somebody touch that, hey, don't touch that, because I might have to sell that. But I don't tell them that. Like, hey, don't touch that. I might have to sell it. I'm just like, oh God, he's fucking touching my shit. I'm a fucking weirdo.
My daughter's an only child, and I was thinking, one day when I go, she'll go to these storage rooms and go, holy shit, there's millions of dollars worth of stuff in here. But even that is presumptuous and could be a burden. Because
it is a burden.
Because when my gramp died, and not my gramp, I had we called him Papa on my mom's side and Grandpa on my dad's side. But when my Papa died, he got pancreatic cancer, and I was trying to get up there. I was in a snowstorm, and we knew he was going. He was on morphine. We were doing home care. We were doing hospice at home, right? And my mother was there, and it was real tough. We knew he was struggling. He was in pain. Even with the morphine, he was still in pain. And I was calling, and I was trying to get up there, And then I got up there. He had just passed. And I was with my Nana and my mom, and I was looking at this house of all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was trying to just be in the moment, and I was calling the funeral home, and we were in a snowstorm, so they were like, look, we don't have a hearse. We're going to come there. We have a minivan, but we'll come there now. So they get there, and, I mean, his body's still warm.
Yeah.
I mean, right? And we're like, I zip him up. We bring my Nana in. We unzip him to give him a kiss goodbye. They're like, don't worry. We're gonna treat his body with the utmost respect. We're gonna process the whole thing. We're gonna work everything out, whatever. And we're like, holy shit. And then it hits me. I'm looking at all this crap.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have this DNA, the same DNA as this motherfucker, and I love him. Right. And it was all nice and neat.
Yeah.
It was all stuff that might be worth a lot to somebody.
Yeah.
I'm looking through albums. I'm looking through VHS. I mean, VHS tapes, like copies of every Star Trek episode, but not the ones that are worth money. Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm going, and then I'm thinking, then this is nothing. We haven't gone into the basement. We haven't gone into the attic.
Yeah.
And dude, the months and months and months. My mother gave me all these albums, like put them on eBay. I put like 150 Elvis albums on eBay. None of them sold.
Nothing sells. That's funny you say that, man.
Original Elvis
fucking sells,
vinyl.
man.
He kept it for 50 years, thinking that it was going to be worth something.
Yeah.
Nobody cared. I took it to record shows.
Yeah.
There was artists.
At first you're going like, well, this stuff's worth money.
I was like, Mom, you hit the gold mine. You're going to get nothing. Even the house itself.
Yeah, even the house itself. Well, I got ran over on my motorcycle 2 years ago. God. And that kind of woke me up.
You're lucky to be alive.
If I would have died, somebody would have to deal with my dumb bullshit. You know what I mean? And I was like, I don't want to put that on someone, The way I look at it is, I want to keep my life story of my memorabilia, which is a lot of VHS tapes and DVDs and photos of me from playing. I played music 25 years, and now I do comedy. So if I do a documentary, I've got all that. Everything else, fucking see you later, And it's just the truth. It's crazy,
I have to agree.
I mean, you got 3 storage units.
I narrowed it down from 5.
5, wow.
And you know what's crazy?
And you don't even know what's in those now. You're out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
And you're spending a note every month on that. And you probably
I'm spending so much money every month. But what I did was I got smart and I said, all right, well, I'm going to start liquidating the stuff, and I'm going to start my mail order back up. I started my mail order back up so that one of them, it has personal stuff in it, but it also has mail order, like the kid right now. Like, I just dropped a new video.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why were we all freaked out about people not buying physical product? My phone's been going off all morning. People are buying the CD. The CD's been out for a year.
Yeah.
Before I left, I signed 100 of them. My phone's dinging all day yesterday, all day today.
On eBay selling them?
No, people are buying them on my web store.
Dope.
So this kid that's sending them out at home, he's going there and he's like, dude, you gotta get rid of some of this stuff, But
That's great.
But then what happens is, we'll package stuff together. We'll bundle it with a shirt. We'll bundle it with stickers, posters, whatever. And we created space. And then we come home from a tour and we have more crap.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, so now I have to be nice to people and be like, what you think is a gift is actually something that's killing me. But you don't want to say that.
Yeah.
So then I had the owner of the place, the owner of the office unit, because it's not just storage; it's actually like offices.
Oh, I gotcha. It's like a Hatebreed compound or something. Like
no, it's like the Jasta Stillborn.
Gotcha. It's like
or like the old Stillborn records, like where I used to have a label. Thank God I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But this last Jasta album, I just did it. I called it Stillborn Records because I did it myself, and I was like, why haven't I been doing like one of these a year? It was so liberating. And when you own your masters, and I think
money.
I think a lot of comedians should just do this. Like I just saw a tell, and I said, dude, like let's put out one of your specials on vinyl right now. You sign them. Let's do 1,000. Like you're leaving a lot of money on the table by not owning the masters and then putting it up on all the streaming services and then following up with Sound Exchange, submitting it to all the
XM radios.
And all the internet radio shows. And all the international radio shows, terrestrial radio internationally plays English-speaking comedy, like in Sweden and Norway.
Just money coming from stuff that you did years ago.
Yes.
And a lot of people are just finding a tell today.
I know.
Just same way they find Kiss out of nowhere, or Judas Priest or anything. A dad turns on their son, and their son turns on their son, and it's like you got to hear a tell. The guy's the best of all time, and then boom, it's constantly selling. And
everybody's getting into comedy just like they are into music.
Totally.
Every day a new person is discovering it, and they're having the fucking explosion in their brain of like, oh my God, now I need to go down the comedy rabbit hole. I just had Sam Tripoli on my podcast, and I remember about maybe like a year ago, he had this like reaction video on YouTube. It's really funny if anybody wants to watch it, where he's reacting to Rolling Stone's top 50 comedians.
Yeah,
and they didn't have a tell on there, which is fucking blasphemy.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he's like, I think they just do those lists just to piss people off, and we do the same thing in music,
right?
When these
top guitar players or top heaviest bands of all time, I love that one. You're like, what?
Yes,
you know what I mean.
And it's funny because like some magazine just put out like a map of the United States, and they had like every band like for each state, like what they thought was like the main band.
Oh yeah.
And people were like,
who represents like San Antonio? Who represents like, and then
but it was just one state,
right?
So
like Texas, so like ZZ Top or something, the standards.
So for Texas, they had this band Power Trip, who we just took out on tour in Europe, and it's a great band. But Pantera fans were so pissed, they were so triggered.
I can imagine
by the thing, and then Connecticut people were pissed because I think for Connecticut they put up like maybe, I don't know, I forget. Maybe, I think it was Fate's Warning. Yeah, it was Fate's Warning. So they put up Fate's Warning. So then our fans were all pissed off. Who's Fate's Warning? Meanwhile, I'm in the band, my band, my other project, Jasta. The drummer, his dad was in Fate's Warning.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and they're a great band.
Yeah, that's an old school band.
Yeah, like progressive metal, super talented. Like these guys can play fucking circles around people. To me, it doesn't matter, but to the fans, they get all triggered and they react. And I was watching this video of Sam Tripoli, and then of course, when I had him on my show, I got him all riled up about it because I was like, yeah, Rolling Stone they'll put the Boston Bomber on the fucking cover, but they won't put fucking some amazing band who's completely deserving of it. And he's like, I got him all riled up.
I mean, we can get into that shit for you. Everything is all about sales. It's not about artistic. Artists just sit on the side and go starving, and the garbage will always sell. I mean, the Kardashians shouldn't be around at all. Oh
yeah, look at the girl from the Dr. Phil show, like the white trash girl who has like the real sort of like ghetto inflection.
Oh, Piss Outside or something, girl, or whatever her name is. I don't even know what that shit is, but I would see it and like, what is this? And that kind of stuff.
She has a gold single.
Yeah, right. I just saw that.
Gold single. Yeah,
but that kind of stuff. Like when I look at it and people get all flamed up, I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know what?
McDonald's sells the most hamburgers. Is it the best hamburger?
No. And also, we're not going to talk about her in a year. I can show you, since I'm 52, since probably 71, a list of people who have had top number one songs, and you're just like, that does not matter because you don't even know 99% anymore. It's like, where's the top great influential music, comedy, and films, you know?
And also, it is a product of the overall sort of like demoralization of society. And like in the 80s, a lot of the bands that I liked talked about that. Cro-Mags talked about that.
Right.
I mean, if you go and listen, and also it's funny that there was a point where Cro-Mags was like a dirty word. I mean, there was, and it'll happen again. It's probably happening now because of that cover where they had the two guys holding hands.
Right.
People were like, "What the fuck? They're homophobic. They're anti-gay." Same with Bad Brains. There was a time where people were like, "Listen to Don't Blow No Bubbles. They're anti-gay. They're homophobic." Same
with early hip hop of Ice Cube and all that
Eminem,
stuff.
dropping
Eminem.
faggot every 2 words and all this stuff. And so it's funny how we're going through these, everybody's like version of demoralization or everybody's moral standard is different. But I look at it from the outside looking in, I go, well, this is kind of why I got into punk rock and heavy metal and hardcore music, so I didn't have to be pushed the Dr. Phil White Trash Girl single, is that, so now I'm like, if anything, we should be happy because the people who are intellectual, who like real authentic art, are going to run from that, and the people who do like it, they might not be the audience we're trying to reach anyway.
You're not trying to get Bieber fans,
right?
You know what I mean? I think the main problem is like, who has that much time to care about what somebody's saying or whatever? If you're not killing someone or hurting them in any way, who cares? You know what I mean? I really don't understand that whole thing of what's going on. We're going backwards. I don't know how people are offended and stuff, and also I don't know how people are homophobic or care about anybody's religions or who they vote for or whatever. Like, how do you get that riled up? Like. It's so, and
it's misplaced energy,
yeah, it is misplaced energy, and to me, it's like it's a lot like when I used to go to Raider games. I stopped going to Raider games because it was just like, these people, man, the player does not give a fuck who he plays for. It's a paycheck. So as much as you're like, fuck the Broncos and stuff, that guy's going to play on the Broncos next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't give a fuck about sports, but I'm just trying to say that president or that religion, they don't give a fuck about anything except for usually a paycheck. When you look at it at the end of the day.
Right. I often get hate mail because I said on a multiple podcasts, like, if you're wearing like a Patriots jersey, you might as well just wear a Bob Kraft shirt. Like, really, like, what are you a fan of? You're a fan of making old, decrepit white guys more rich. Like, that's all you're doing.
I lit up Tommy Bahama yesterday. Who the fuck is wearing Tommy Bahama?
Old, rich white guys.
White dudes.
Yeah.
And
everybody's like, why is everybody coming down on old rich white guys? Who fucking cares? It's fun.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It is. It's fucking hilarious. Like, you're a grown man. Like, I watched people chase at Foxwoods. Again, I shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
Or no, it was at Mohegan. Same difference. They're both right near each other.
You're going to see some Tommy Bahama in there.
Oh, a lot. And I watched grown men chasing Rob Gronkowski. I watched grown women take their high heels off and run in his direction. What is he going to do? What are you going to do? Are you guys going to hang out? Are you going to have a conversation? You're going to force him into taking a picture with you? You're going to force him, like, what are you going to buy him a drink? Like, he threw the ball good. He caught the ball good.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's hilarious. I like him as, like, I just look at him.
He didn't write Master of Puppets.
No.
You know what I mean? He didn't direct Apocalypse Now.
There's no creative output.
Zero.
And people go, no, it's art. Oh, him jumping up and catching the ball is art. Okay, here's my other thing, and I'm sorry to the football fans out there. I will watch a game occasionally, and I will acknowledge the talent and the strength and the brute force and the spectacle of it all, and I can appreciate it. But here's my thing. Just fight. That's all. Basketball players, No, just fight.
Yeah.
Just do MMA. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
I don't even
take
watch,
the ball out
I
of
don't
it.
even watch MMA.
Take the ball out of it.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm just saying.
saying
you want to fight. You hate this guy. Really, and a lot of it, they're friends behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah, of course.
A lot of it is they don't even want to fight. They don't even care if they win or lose. They're millionaires.
Yeah, they're millionaires.
But for the ones like the Kobe Bryants and the LeBrons and the real true greats who are really competitive, sometimes I feel like being like, just fight.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Take the ball out of it.
Yeah,
Because what are you doing? You're smashing, you're wearing tights and you're smashing your head against each other. If you're going to cause that much bodily harm to set up your family, it's a noble pursuit. I see what you're doing. You're going to get your kids through college. I get it. You're sacrificing your body. Well, then why don't you just fight?
Yeah.
Like Dana White will probably give you, now it's to the point where you could probably make, look at Herschel Walker. He went and was successful fighting.
Yeah. He did it all.
He's the man.
Yeah.
Like respect. Herschel Walker, respect. But I hate that. Like when there's like, and they're like behind a guy and they're like, fuck you, no, fuck you. Like, what did you do? He like slaps the guy flops down on the ground like in the NBA, like, and then like the bench is clear. Well, if you want to just fight, just fight.
Yeah. I know. I stopped watching MMA or, UFC because there's just too many now, like
it's hard to keep up.
When I was young and it came out, it'd be like, all right, in 6 months, it's going to be Royce Gracie against Ken Shamrock. And I'd be like, and I rode it all the way up into the tank, and then I was just kind of like, once it's like every week, I was like, what is even going on here? I can't keep up anymore. And that's a lot like NFL. They started showing it on Thursdays. Then it was on fucking Sunday, of course, Sunday. And then it's Monday. And then, there's a game on Tuesday in London. I'm like, to me, football was something I watched hungover on Sunday mornings. And just to like recoup, I was laying around. It was like something to watch,
I do love a good Raiders game. I was happy when they got that kid Carr, right? Derek Carr.
Oh yeah, they were great. Raiders.
I still rock my Woodson jersey. I still have a soft spot for the Raiders, but I as you get older, you do kind of see through the spectacle of it all, and you go, this is just another business where they're trying to get eyes on it and sell advertising.
Yep.
And we're guilty of it too with podcasting, with music. Everybody's, but we're forced into this society where you have to pay bills, and then going back to our whole thing about minimalism, it all ties in. It all connects, because at the end of the day, you want to enjoy your life. You have a limited amount of time.
That's it.
And for some people, they watch that stuff, and that 2-hour game is a time where they're not
knocking them.
Yeah, they're not being berated by their wives.
Yeah,
and it is an escape, and I totally get it. I just think though that sometimes it can be absurd, like especially with the Patriots. I'm like, and these guys, I have diehard Patriots fans that are fans of Hatebreed, and I know I'm bumming them out, and I'm sorry, but it's like you're rooting for the fucking owner Bob Kraft, that ridiculous guy, and they're spying on people, and they're deflating the balls. I mean, the whole thing, and they're like, "He didn't do it." Yeah. I've had these conversations.
I went through this era. Of course, I was a huge 49er fan, and I went through the whole era of course, Montana into Steve Young and Coach Walsh, and just being a dominating dynasty of one of the greatest displays of football ever.
So you were one of the we guys. We did it. We was fourth and one, and
unbelievable.
And we
when you get into, to me, football in the 70s was really boring, and it's so funny because I never talk about football on the podcast, but there was a time when I worshipped football and watched the fuck out of it, and the 70s was kind of boring football because it was always like 1, 2, 3, hike, and the guy would just run the ball right into the wall, boom, and get 2 yards, then run again 2 yards. But once this West Coast offense comes in and there's some fucking passing, and we're seeing the great era of quarterbacks of Plunkett and Dan Marino and Steve Young, also Joe Montana, and then Elway and the Bears guy, what's his name? The war that
Jim McMahon.
Yeah, Jim McMahon.
I was Jim McMahon for Halloween, 1985.
Yeah. You wear the sunglasses, do the Super Bowl shuffle.
Yep.
But I'm talking every team
aviators.
had a hero quarterback, and every team had one good, great, maybe wide receiver, and there was a show, and it was rad. You know? And now you can't touch the quarterbacks. There's only 2 good quarterbacks in the whole fucking league. And they talked about it years ago. They go, there's no quarterbacks anymore. So we can't hit them because if these guys are broken, we got no dudes, you know? And every team nobody has a good dude, you know?
It wasn't a sustainable thing, and I commend them for keeping it going as long as they've gone. And especially after the whole concussion thing,
right?
And you know the shootings, the stabbings, the murders, the criminals,
the dogfighting, all
my God,
everything, just the explosion behind the scenes.
I mean, they've done like miraculous things to keep that massive machine rolling. And
if that was a band or an actor or anything that had those kind of criminal things, you know, it was one time somebody said, "Hey man, you know, how do you listen to Ted Nugent?" You know, and I go, the same way you watch fucking Michael Vick play. I take the Nugent drove me to the ground. It's like,
I know. I just brought that up on my show with Sam.
It's really tough, you know.
Yeah, and I've said that. I think I said that on I think I was talking about that on Sirius too, and I noticed that I had a lot of tweets saying like, "Oh, you fucking, you know, lefty liberal or whatever." I'm like, I'm not either. I'm not right. I'm not left. Yeah. I don't know what you're fucking talking about. All I know is
Chris Rock style. I'm part Dem, part Republican. It's really don't fuck people. You know?
Don't be a burden.
Yeah.
And then what he's doing is he's being a burden. There's a collective consciousness amongst both super right-wing conservative people and super left-wing liberal people. There's this collective consciousness that is so it's like a cloud, and it's so hard to get stuff through this thick cloud that's surrounding them and the way they perceive the world and the way that they see things. And I don't know if it's just because I've traveled and I've been to former communist countries and I've been to Muslim countries, and I've played to like entire fucking, I played to women moshing in burqas. I've played to
that's rad.
Like, and nobody tried to blow us up. Nobody. Yeah. I mean, we were there. If they wanted to destroy America, there was no death to America chance. There was no. I mean, we were there during Ramadan. I mean, but then you go to someplace in Middle America, and they got their fuck ISIS shirts on, and this. Well, obviously. Like, and they're like, you know, protect the USA and this and that, and I get it. It's you're aligning yourself with something that makes you feel empowered, but it's not exactly real. And so like he's going out now saying these students are soulless. And dude, don't get me wrong, I love Stranglehold. You put on Cat Scratch Fever.
Yep.
You put on. We've had an ongoing joke with Hatebreed, where we go, why would you listen to, and I won't say what band, when you could listen to Nugent?
Yeah.
Because it's like it's just so good when you hear it. And then with Derek Saint, what's his name?
St. Holmes.
Derek St. Holmes. God, what a voice!
What a singer!
Yeah, and
I mean, look,
you separate the art, you know. But again, you also have to do the research. You can't, like what Ted said. I was wrong. I was going off the headline. I got duped into it. I gave them the click and they got a check.
Yeah.
And he was taken out of context. Still what he said was shitty, but it wasn't how he said it in the headline.
It's all clickbait.
Yeah. What he said was still shitty, but it wasn't exactly what he said in the headline. They took it out of context. But yeah, I mean, Ted has an open invite to come on my show. I don't know if he would. And, I don't know. Has he been on Rogan or Marin or?
I'm not sure, actually.
And not that our shows
he
are.
Might have done Rogan.
Did he?
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Not that our shows are comparable, but I mean, you've had a lot of guys who are as big or bigger than Ted. So with the realm of and so have I. And so so the realm of possibility, it's there.
Oh, it's there.
Within there that he would do either of our shows. Would you have him on?
I think that the problem I have right now is I have my beliefs and the way I live my life. And the problem I have is I just keep it to myself now. And this is probably the most I've ever talked to it, because I don't enjoy the bombardment of late night garbage on my Twitter feed or my Instagram feed or my emails. I try to live my life now by this word here: promote what's great, not what you hate.
Yeah.
And I think in this religious and political climate, people are just crazy. And they've said it, and I've said it since day one. They're treating it like sports teams. This is my team, and fuck that team, instead of any kind of, they've got some valid points, and I've got some valid points. So I don't enjoy spending my time, which is so minimal. I only have minimal free time to sift through shit and delete it. You know what I mean? And late night armchair drunk warriors just spewing negativity. I got no time for it. If you're into Trump, that's your thing. If you're into Hillary or whatever, that's your thing. But to me, it's so fucking hard right now just for me to get shows and get out there that I don't want to be in the mix of this fucking swill.
I don't blame you at all.
Clickbait
you especially in comedy right now, anyone who's at the club level or the small theater level or the bar level in comedy, absolutely you should be focused on self-preservation and survival and becoming a likable enough entity to sustain it.
Yeah.
With music, we're lucky because we can, especially anybody who is 20, 25 years deep, and look at someone like Ted. I mean, I would say to him, if he was on my show, I would say, where are the riffs, bro? Where did they go? I think all this energy, I think you should have fucking not done that interview and focus that energy on getting in front of a fucking amp and writing using that, whatever you felt after that shooting, you should have channeled it into a fucking riff, because that riff probably would have made more difference than the fucking divisive bullshit you spewed. And that's a hard concept for people.
I saw Nugent in 1978 to 60,000 people at the Oakland Coliseum to describe the power. And I'll show you the video.
How many people got finger banged at that show?
Fuck. To describe, not many, because it was all dudes.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what, Nuge has always been dudes. You know what I mean? But to describe the magnitude of how radical it was, I can't even tell you. If you watch Cal Jam on YouTube or watch the show I went to, Dan DeGreen, Monsters of Rock, it's gonna fucking knock you out. And it kicked me into the music world full force.
That's amazing. On my show, I always try to pitch an idea. I just produced a new Snider album, and he crushed it. He killed it.
I tell you, man, I've been trying to have D on the show. I went to D's I hosted the last the thing with Ricky Rackman. They did Cat House 30.
Oh, when they came out and did some songs,
3 songs.
Yeah,
and this was about, I don't know, a year ago now. And I was standing on the stage about 2 feet from D. Snider. And I tell you what, I don't give a fuck what you think about his music. I don't care what you're going to say. One of the most powerful frontmen
ever.
And I've seen him back in the heyday. I saw him on the fucking big record, and I also saw him come out and play tour. But I'm talking about last year, I don't know how old he is, and he murdered it. I got videos that'll blow your mind of it, man. The guy is a fucking assassin.
When Twisted came back, we did one of the shows. I think it was Fields of Rock in Holland, and we as soon as we got done, we raced over to watch them, and I was just like, holy shit! That the power in his voice, it was incredible. And he always showed me love, especially when I got the Headbangers Ball job. him and Ricky, they were very congratulatory because Adam Curry and D also did versions of it. It might not have been like, I think it was called something else when D did it, or it might have been called Headbangers Ball when D did it. But
so it started with Ricky, right? It
started really with D and Adam, and then Ricky took over, and then I did it once it went to MTV2, and then it was online with Jose Mangan. I mean, it's evolved, but there was a reunion at one point where it was D. I don't think Adam was there, but I think it was D, me, Ricky, and Jose all together. We did it at this place called Duff's in Brooklyn. I think it was a bar. Shout out to Duff's, but in the lean years, D was always cool.
Yeah.
And so when I pitch ideas on my podcast, I pitched D. I said, look, no offense, this last album, I mean, he's singing over some pop tracks. There's some rock on it, but it's
that one with the piano where he did the piano version of a cover of one of his songs, and it was piano.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a Broadway album.
Oh yeah,
he's tried a bunch of different stuff, and now he'll admit it. I mean, he was just tweeting about it, how the solo albums were failures and stuff. So I said, dude,
at least he took some chances.
Yes,
tried some shit.
No risk,
it's
no
like
reward.
When people shit on Metallica, I'm like, your fucking guys are assholes.
Well, and also think about the Broadway album. So many people shit on that album when he did that Broadway album, but think about this. Without that decision, he would not be on this run right now that he's on. He's in Rocktopia right now on Broadway. So as we're talking right now, he is on fucking Broadway. Yep. So God bless him. I mean, that opened that door. And he's done, Rock of Ages and other things. So I said to him, let me produce the album. Let me do some co-writes. Because a lot of people, they just think I'm the guy with the bandana and I just yell.
Yeah.
But what I do is I write songs. I have vaults. I have hundreds of songs on hard drives. Hence the name of the last Jasta album is called The Lost Chapters, because I was like, why is this stuff sitting on a hard drive? I'm going to just fucking release it.
Totally.
And now that I release it and I own the master, I'm like, fuck, I should have been releasing one a year. So I went to D and I said, look, I have these songs and I have co-writes and I have lyrics. And a lot of these lyrics are super important to me, but I showed them to D and he goes, I love it. I want to do it. He agreed on the podcast. So I was like, shit, now we got to do it. So when he got in the booth, I had chills. My hair stood up on my arms, on my neck, on my back. He gets in and he bangs out these tracks and it's fucking crushing and his voice has never been more powerful. And I flew out here. That's why I'm out here. We did the deal. I met with the label. We got a great deal. I can't announce what label it is just yet because we just signed it now. But he's back in New York and he's on Broadway, so he has to sign the deal. But I'd signed it. And it's going to come out hopefully in July.
Wow. And it's a D. Snider solo record?
Metal. D. Snider doing metal.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'll play you some of it before we go.
Kind of like Halford when he did 2.
When he did Resurrection.
I also love 2.
John 5 is on 2.
Yeah.
2 was more industrial.
I know, but my point is...
It aged well.
It was just different.
Yes.
And I
was bummed on it at first, I got to be honest.
Well,
I was like, 9 Inch Nails and Ministry and Stabbing Westward and all that stuff.
It's a lot like Kiss the Elder. Like at the time when I was a kid, I went down to fucking TG&Y. I remember that's what the place was called. Toys, Guns, and Yo-Yos. That's what I call it. TG&Y. I bought Elder, $8 or whatever. Got home, I was like, oh, what happened? Now I worship the Elder. I love everything about the Elder. I love the backness of the Elder, of why they did it like that and all that. And to me, the Elder's incredible and weird and fucking badass.
Bob Marlette's kids are on it. There's so many good stories about it, right?
Yeah.
Like there's so much good. You know what my favorite? I was just listening to that song Naked City, and I was like, I forget what album that's on. But I was like, God damn, Gene his voice is so good.
It's perfect right now.
And he is so good. I'm like, he is such a good bass player. I'm like, he's another one where it's like all his extraneous, was that a word? It sounds legit. All his outworldly stuff that doesn't involve music.
Takes away from the fucking...
The sheer amazingness of his talent, of being able to play and sing, hit the notes, the power in his voice, the heaviness in the tone.
Yeah. Oh my God, right?
It is
still kill it, man.
He overshadows it with all his silliness. But then when you meet him, he's such a sweetheart.
I just met him a couple days ago. Wow, what a it's just like, there he was, the dude, the reason I'm alive, probably. Kiss hit me and I was like, whoa. I saw the Dynasty tour and that was it. I was off and running. the rest of my life.
See, I never saw them as a young kid. I got to
because you're 40. Right?
Yeah, so I got to see them on the
96?
on the reunion, and Nugent, Skid Row.
Alice in Chains open?
Nugent and Skid Row.
Oh, Nugent and Skid Row.
Yeah, and I went to a bunch of those shows.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed Psycho Circus. Our guitar player, Frank, he still gets mad when I say that. But shout out to Frank. He was doing... We opened for Kiss in Belgium, and we know Snake from Skid Row. And so Snake got us in touch with Doc. Doc got us into the meet and greet. We had a nice... I gave Gene the DVD. I said, look, it went #1 on Billboard. That, he that raised his eyebrows. I said, Gene, check it out. It went #1. Let's do some more shit together. Anything that can make Gene money, he'll
be like, well, they'll sell tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were cool. They didn't care. They would have given us anything we wanted because no one's going to upstage Kiss.
Yep.
There's some bands that'll be like, hey, go out in front and turn their volume down or push the drums up real close so they only have a couple feet of room.
Yeah, I just had George Lynch on, and he was really giving all the olds called Sandbag in the opener.
Yeah.
He was giving all the rundowns on it.
Yeah.
Every one of them. I was like, whoa. And I played music all my life. I didn't even hear some of this stuff. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I gotta be careful with like what I say. George is a little... He has less fucks to give than I do.
He doesn't have anything to lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So props to George.
Yep.
But I always looked at it because it happened. It's probably happened to us the most.
Yeah.
That's why when people go, oh, Hatebreed's not the heaviest band or whatever, then I go, well, then why did all your favorite bands tell us we could only sell one shirt?
Yeah.
And why did they try to, why were they terrified to take us on tour? And why were they extremely bummed when the whole crowd was chanting our name before they were going on? So, things like that. I'm sure George had to deal with that. And I'm sure, look, I met...
Early Dokken tours.
Yeah. I mean, dude, when I met Don Dokken, one of the first things he said to me was, Metallica opened for me.
Yeah.
And it's true. Yeah. But you got smoked.
Yeah.
It happens. Just like I'll go out and, I'm getting up there. So just like I'll probably go out in a couple of years and get smoked. That's just how it goes. I'm sure you've been on a stage where a local opener is fucking slaying and you're like, who the fuck is
That's
this guy?
That's never happened to me, but I understand what you're saying.
I love it.
But I do understand there's always this thing where, and I try to explain it to people, if you're opening for a big headliner or you're headlining, the middle slot is the most cream fucking spot on a tour. The focus is right there, and you're only doing 20 or 30 as a comedian. So people come up and go, you should have been headlining. It's like, are you kidding me? That guy's a goddamn legend, and he just did 2 hours. If he did 20 minutes before me, you wouldn't even know who the fuck I was. It would be such fire. It's an art to have to do a whole hour and a half or whatever and keep someone's ADD fucking cell phone, attention, So it's like, it's just a different world, It's crazy.
There was a drum tech who at first didn't like us, and we did tons of tours with Slayer. And there was a time where a lot of bands, they would turn down the Slayer tour, and we were like, "We're not scared. This is what we need.
It's a great tour.
We need the cosign, and especially for a hardcore band." Keep in mind, for hardcore, there's not a lot of happy endings.
Yeah.
We can go through it. If we wanted to go through all the great bands and all the bands I loved growing up, there's not a lot of happy endings.
Who were the bands when you were growing up for you?
I mean, I loved Cro-Mags. I loved Earth Crisis. I loved Black Flag. I loved Strife. But I mean, Madball, Agnostic Front, those are two bands that are still around, still
Agnostic
kicking
Front,
ass.
Man. Saw them live.
They have
GBH, saw them live.
They have a great... they're one that will have a happy ending. They have a great documentary coming out directed by a really talented director, this guy Ian McFarland, and it's showing at all the festivals and stuff. So they are one of the happy endings. But there was a time where they were broken up. Roger was in jail.
Totally.
When I went to a store when I was probably 14 or 15, and I saw his poster of One Voice. I got into them on a record where the punk rockers were like, oh, they went metal. But I loved One Voice.
Right.
I was like, that was a life-changing record for me. Plus, my uncles had been in jail. I had visited them in jail. My father had some problems, was in the VA, in and out of the psych ward and stuff. So I'm reading this guy's lyrics, Undertow and One Voice, and, I could relate to them. It was a street level band. Same with Madball. It was, they weren't singing about dragons and girls, and I couldn't relate to that shit. I could relate to this guy who was like, I could relate to Cro-Mags. You're walking down the street justice. That I was that kid jumped by kids in the inner city, and I'm like, I need to toughen up. I need to, I need to, listen to this stuff and get charged up and face the world like these guys do it. But we had heard, about the breakups, about the fights,
of course,
and this stuff is still going on.
Still going on. I mean, with Harley,
right.
I mean, I'm just kind of like, how's this even possible that they're not out doing the Age of Quarrel fucking reunion tour and just making some paper, man?
Well, we tried that. We were there. We played a show with them in Syracuse, New York, where Harley like alienated half the crowd and said like stuff about straight edge people, or I forget what he said, but I remember like there was a whole thing where the crowd was gonna like revolt against them, and they were like giving them the finger. And so
is that the one where we got in a fight in the crowd or whatever?
I don't know, but I don't know because at that time I was on the bus. I was on the, we were I think we were talking to like maybe Misfits was there. I remember I was on the bus talking to Misfits, and everybody's like, there was this whole melee and Cro-Mags left, and I'm like, what happened? Like I was gonna go walk over there and see them,
right?
And and that was like that was the time, like that was the window where that could have happened, and it could have been huge, and they blew it. So
that type of band, though, I think should it's such a combustible thing. You know what I mean?
Well, that was the thing. So we thought when we were coming up, we thought
you'd be out.
Yeah. That's why I took the job at Headbangers Ball. I'm like, and you see how fickle punk and hardcore fans are.
Totally.
They would turn their back on bands if they did anything that they didn't agree with. And don't get me wrong, there were a lot of bands that totally jumped the shark and totally sold out.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I have to be careful about what I say, because I'm surprised at how many people listen to all these podcasts and even fucking care about what I have to say. It's no offense to anybody. If anybody was a punk rocker and they went glam, look, I've toured with Discharge. I know those guys. Yep. If they hear this, I'm sorry. A Brave New World, when he started sounding like Led Zeppelin, they called it Discharge. Have you ever listened to that?
Well, it's a lot like Judas Priest putting out Turbo,
right?
People are like, or that we don't need no parental guidance. By then, you're just going like, what the fuck? Or Kiss, God Saved Rock and Roll. You're like, what? Different format. But what I'm saying is,
so
after a while,
we learned from that. We learned from those bands' mistakes, and so when we sign to a major label and we put out a crushingly heavy album and it sells more than the first album, and then we put out a third album and that gets nominated for a Grammy, and then we put out a fourth album and that sells a couple hundred copies when they said nobody buys physical copies, and then we put out a fifth album and that sells a couple 100,000 copies, and we're touring worldwide. We never did the Left of Center album. We never did the Sellout album. Right. We always stuck to our guns and subsequently got bigger and better opportunities. And even that in itself angers people, because they want to see you fall off like their favorite bands fell off. They want to see that. And that, I don't know what the psychology is behind
it's weird.
that.
They champion you to the top, and then they hate you when you get there.
Right.
I never understood it.
But what we did was we took the Danzig tour. We took the Sam Hain tour.
Yeah.
We took the Slayer tours. And that Slayer tour, we were in Europe, and this one drum tech, he's like, tonight's going to be the night. We were going to Spain. He's like, nobody survives Spain. You're going to get Slayerized. And I was like, all right, wait till that backdrop drops. So the first band is on, and it's Hatebreed, and it's Slayer. And they're warring, and it's Hatebreed, Slayer. And I'm like, and he's just seething. He's back there, and then our backdrop goes, and it's the Slayer chant gets quiet, and then the Hatebreed. And we come out, the entire place is a fucking pit. People are beating the shit out of each other. It's absolute fucking pandemonium. And it wouldn't be possible if Slayer didn't give us the cosign.
Right.
Jeff Hanneman, all those years playing that guitar with the Hatebreed sticker on it, Carrie wearing the Hatebreed shirt, on stage and talking about us in interviews, and then playing on our album and singing on our album. A lot of people don't know that that's Kerry King's voice doing the backup vocals on the song Final Prayer for the Human Race. So when some crust punker who's playing in a squat is like, fuck Hatebreed, they have fucking, the guy wears a Monster Energy wristband, I get it. I was that kid too. You know what I mean? I would hate me too.
Yeah.
You know, they see an arena of people beating the shit out of each other, lighting fires. There's guys with Hatebreed face tattoos. There's people with their entire bodies covered in Hatebreed tattoos. They don't like that devotion. They don't like to see, and whatever. I guess I would feel the same way if somebody I hated was, you know, championing something that I hate. I don't know what to do. I do what I do, and I'm lucky that it turned into a fucking career.
How do you sing like that? Because I sang for so long, but you know, because there was a while where there was Cookie Monster vocals, and that can be done with like an SPX 90. You just fucking turn it on. The guy's singing like this, like, I'm coming to get you. And it's like, you know?
Yeah.
But how do you sing like that?
I gotta ask my mother, but I want to say I was in the crib or I was on the side, and I remember this. I remember being a little kid and just going, like gritting my teeth and going, and I do that on albums.
Yeah.
There's songs where I just do that. And for whatever reason, after I would do that, I would feel this euphoria, or I would feel this this intense
release,
cleansing.
Yeah.
Right? And so then, you know, growing up where I grew up, going to school, dealing with the stuff that I was dealing with my family, I would do that. Like in private, I would go into my room and I would go, and I would just scream. And there was nights like where my father had a tough time with PTSD. He'd be out in the garage. He'd have guns buried, and he'd be, you know, on a job for 3 weeks, and we wouldn't see him, and we would go visit him and give him a sandwich, and he's like sleeping in a fucking basement where he's been painting all night, and then I would be freaked out, and I would go home, and I would go into my room, and I'd go, and then I would feel amazing. So then when I got to a practice for a friend's band, there was nobody on the mic, so I grabbed it and I started doing that, and they were like, yo, that sounds kind of cool. And so I found a way to find registers in my voice where I could do that and not lose my voice.
Wow, that's crazy.
What I did was, depending on what the band was tuned to, and I'll tell you a quick story about when we first played with COC. What happened was, we got into us in E-Town Concrete, we got into a fight with COC. I love COC.
Actual fist fight?
No, well, Anthony from E-Town like threw a shoe when they were on stage. We got into an argument because, and I got to get Pepper on my show to talk about this. I wonder how he'll remember it, because I remember Reed. I saw Reed years later after, and he goes, man, I'm sorry Pepper was being a dick to y'all. And then we toured. We did a tour with Down in 2002. And
he's in that band.
Pepper was in the band, and he came on stage and saw, thousands of people losing their fucking minds and the whole crowd wearing Hatebreed shirts. And then he comes over and goes, hey man, go easy on him, brother. Like, what the fuck? We're up next. And I was like, that was a major compliment, coming from
go easy on him.
Someone who wrote, I don't know, well, I should say Mike Dean and Reed and those guys. I mean, Poison Planet to me could be up there, one of the greatest hardcore songs ever written. Like, Don't Be Around Me, like when Poison Planet comes on, like, I want to put that on the next Hatebreed covers out. But anyways, we were doing this festival. COC was headlining, and then they said, no, we're going on now.
Oh, wow.
They pulled one of
that
those.
Danzig style thing.
They pulled one of those.
Remember that Danzig thing, man?
Yeah.
That when he got knocked out?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's one of the craziest videos of all time.
See, you know what? And Glenn was so good to us. We had heard horror stories, but Glenn was good to us, because Glenn's one of those guys, he draws people that are fans, but they hate him. I never understood it. On the tours that we did, and he put us on a bunch of tours, he draws fans, and they're just so obsessed with him, and they're such stalkers and weirdos that they have meltdowns like while they're seeing him, and then they turn on him. It's really weird.
So we had two Danzig records are masterpieces. John Christ, fucking Chuck Biscuits, that whole thing.
Oh my God.
Eerie Vaughn,
Forget about
that band.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
I saw
worthy.
it probably 20 times. First record and the second one, and man, I can't even tell you how fucking great that shit is. A lot of people are like, what about Danzig 3, but it's like, the first two, man.
Untouchable.
What the fuck?
And, we toured it with him on Satan's Child it was, I guess, in some people's mind, it was already on the decline.
Right.
But
Still Danzig, though.
we had to correct a couple dudes who were coming out of the side of the neck, and then he was like, "Wow, you did that for me? Hatebreed did that for me? Fuck yeah!" And then he would give us his stuff from his rider. I mean, we were in a van on top of gear, on a mattress on top of gear.
Hook you up with like extra old food and stuff. That's
everything.
In there. Yeah, that's great.
And drinks and beers.
Yeah.
And there was times like Todd Youth was in the band. Shout out to Todd. He gave us his hotel room one night, and a couple nights actually, and then gave us even there was a time where he put some of our gear on the truck so we could just sleep on the floor of the van. And so some of their gear rode in the truck on one tour. Sepultura did that for us too. Big thanks to them. And so when that thing happened, when Danzig got knocked out, I knew that dude because I had managed a band called Cause for Alarm, old school New York hardcore band that he was playing in. So I was kind of in the middle, and I was just like, hey, it is what it is, but it never really hurt Danzig's career. He bounced back. He still kills it.
Yep. I wish he'd get that lineup back together.
I know. But hey, I just came from
Chuck is.
No, I know. I just came from Tommy Victor was just in my show. He's in Danzig now. He's in Prong. Oh yeah, and Tommy's great.
Tommy is great.
He's incredible. He's in Ministry, or he has been in Ministry, and Prong has recently put out like some of the best stuff they've ever done. But back to the story with Pepper, so he came over, we're going on now, whatever. And I had been in a meeting with the promoter, and I looked at the contracts. So I saw what they were getting paid, and I saw what us and E-Town were getting paid. And I was like, that's fucked up because us and E-Town drew the crowd.
Right.
And people don't realize, I mean, COC, they had a lot of success with Pepper, and those albums were huge. They toured with Metallica.
Yeah, yeah.
But there was a whole contingent.
Hetfield's favorite.
Yeah. There was a whole contingency of people that preferred Animosity and Eye for an Eye and the old hardcore punk.
Right.
But this is, again,
once they switch styles, it's a whole different fan base.
Yeah, it goes to that whole thing. Like, is punk rock and hardcore, is it second-class citizen music? Is it just caveman music? I say let a caveman live.
Yeah.
That's my motto,
Yeah.
And I told Dave Mustaine when he came on my show, I said, yo, it's all good to take out fucking Dream Theater and all these noodlers, and I've had John Petrucci on my show. I said, but take out some brute force. Let a caveman live. But...
Yeah.
Then you also have to
step up your game.
Right.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
Don't seem that heavy.
Right. So we'll see.
I mean, he won't even play anything like Peace Cell. He's just gone and play Peace Cells. What a fucking masterpiece record.
Dude, just
go out and play that.
Listen to the breakdown in Holy Wars. That doesn't get much harder than that. And I would even debate you that Holy Wars, if you put it neck and neck with some Slayer songs, it might even crush some fucking Slayer songs. I've pissed off enough people with this episode, but so they switched, and then we had to headline, and other bands have done this before, and all I did was say, all right, well then now we're the headliner.
Yeah.
So remember that.
Yeah.
Now, so if you want to go on before us, just remember.
So you sandbagged him.
And
you took out some of the PA. You gave him minimal stage.
No, but then I think Anthony from E-Town threw his shoe at him while they were playing, and then and it was like a whole ordeal. But we're totally cool. I love Pepper.
There's a lot of drama in metal in the metal world, right? Isn't it crazy?
There is, and there was.
Yeah.
But
I think it's really weird too if you talk about anything on a podcast. And people might not be one of the people like, oh man, you said you didn't like such and such record of ours. I'm not coming on the show. And it's like, I'm just being honest. I love 5 of your records. I didn't like one of them. When now you fucking, fuck him. It's like, what?
Yo, the egos are out of control,
it's
man.
Nuts, dude.
That's why on my show, I'm always like, I know I shouldn't say this on the podcast, but I've gotten a lot of people butthurt with my show, but it is what it is, man. I mean, hey, I'm not from that world. I know, the glam bands and all that stuff, I respect your hustle, I respect your game.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was just silly to me. Right. I looked at John Joseph and Harley, and I go, I want to be like those guys.
Right.
I didn't want to be the guy wearing the eyeliner. And no offense.
I was into both. Dude, I was right there, Bonded by Blood. Exodus. Yeah. I was right there, Kill 'Em All.
Yeah.
I was right there, Master of Puppets, But even at the same time, man,
Slayer wore guy liner at one point.
Oh, hell yeah.
And Misfits.
Yeah,
so there's only so much strength to my argument.
It comes to me, it comes down to what songs do you got? You know what I mean? A good song is a good fucking song. A Johnny Cash song is just as heavy as South of Heaven. In a different way. Is it a great song? I'm wondering.
Is it a culturally significant song? And does it hold up?
Right.
So like I'll listen to some stuff and I'll just go, wow, it doesn't hold up. And then there's other stuff that now like someone played was it at your show? Someone played Shout at... Oh, it was John 5's show.
Oh, yeah.
Someone played Shout at the Devil. And so then I went and listened to the old studio version of Shout at the Devil, and I was like, well, goddamn was I wrong, because that shit still holds up, and that shit pounds.
That shit's next level. And then they redid it where it's even more like kind of industrial, like Shout at the Devil 99 or 2000 or something.
Really?
And it's even cooler because it's got this like like a loop, industrial loop. Shout.
Did you just commit sacrilege by saying that? Because I'm about to with Ace Frehley. I think John 5 did a heavier version, right? Is it Parasite? Or is it I think, and
but
I like
Motley did it. They went in, re-recorded, just Shout at the
And you
Devil.
like it better.
Well, you get used to it because you're like, whoa, that's even fucking crazier. They up the game, man. But Shout at the Devil to me is just a goddamn masterpiece. The whole record,
John 5 did it with Ace. They combined.
The show, yeah.
No, they did on a record.
Oh, they also did it at the
and
show.
I like that version better than the original Kiss version. And people will be like, that's fucking blasphemy. How can you say that? But yeah, there's stuff that, I mean, music, it still gives me the charge. It's the best thing ever. Like that's why I don't even trust people who don't like music. And I know a lot of those people, and I have to tell them like, yo,
I mean, where's your passion?
Something's wrong.
Well, it's a lot of people just go through life with just no passion, which is sad. Like they don't love anything. Like, do you love football? Cool. Like I said, I don't shit on people that watch football. If they're way into it and that's their world, awesome. It's weird that people that aren't into anything, they're just kind of like, I just live in here till I die. And it's like, well, what are you into? You're a goddamn shell. You know what I mean? You're taking up space. You're creating traffic.
we did the Motorhead tour in '99 and Dropkick. It was Motorhead, Dropkick Murphys, and us. And we just... now, and I had Lemmy on my show right before he passed, and we did the Motorhead cruise.
Yeah.
And then just this first tour of this first show of this last tour that we just did, we played with Dropkick, so we saw them. We hadn't seen them in a while, and we were talking about the tour, and they had a fight with Lemmy one night in Seattle.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that. They were going to drop off the tour because Motorhead was kind of sunning them a little bit, like, okay, here, you're my sons, like here, let's, move your equipment up. And,
wow.
Yeah. And,
sunning them. Another term.
Yeah, that's another thing. I go like, why are you trying to sun me out?
Yeah.
And then I remember there was a standoff, and then Lemmy came with the tour manager and went on Dropkick's RV, and we were all like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And
on
we
the
went
RV.
over there, and we went over there, and we were like, shit, what do we do? Because we were like, well, Dropkicks is from Boston. They're our boys. Shit, we got to back up Dropkicks. They're going to be around longer. Even though technically, like Lemmy is the elder statesman, and we respect him, and it's a huge opportunity for both bands. But really, they're kind of in the wrong because I mean, us and Dropkicks, we're selling a lot of tickets too, and it's we're in it together, but we're more punk rock, and we're from the DIY scene, whereas Motorhead is at that point, even though they did have those roots and they were always respected in those communities, they were a big rock and roll metal type of band, so they had that different ethics where it was we're the loudest band, we're the headliner, you don't get the lights,
we're Lemmy. Bottom line, we are Lemmy.
And they squashed it, and everything was cool. And we had another friend's band who had already been kicked off the tour in Cleveland, and we were drinking heavy, and we had our issues or whatever, and so. But I was thinking about all this because we did this tour and we got to play with Dropkicks, and every night of this whole tour that we just did, every night someone was on that Motorhead boat. And every night I was on the Motorhead cruise. I got to see you guys.
Yeah.
And so that bill was Motorhead, Slayer, Exodus, Suicidal Tendencies, Hatebreed, COC. That was that cruise.
Wow.
And I hung with Pepper every day.
That is some heaviness there.
It was amazing. That was when I really said, wow, we've arrived, because we got the invite.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I said, if that isn't fucking good company to be in,
oh man,
I don't know what is. And I hung with Pepper every day, and he's such a maniac. He has his fucking collarbone sticking out, and I'm like, dude, your collarbone is broken. And he's just drinking Coors Light, doing cannonballs in the pool, and like literally, like a bone is like protruding, like not like the bone is out, but it's like you can see it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you break that now, or is that like a previous break? And he's like, Jasta, let's do the iPod. How does it work? You just record in the iPod? Yeah, and I'm like, no, it's a podcast.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, whatever it is, if you're fucking recording the iPod, let's do it. And we recently traded emails because I'm like, dude, we still haven't done it.
I get it. Some people don't like to talk. Some people, are busy as fuck or whatever. Yeah, it is tough, man. Especially I got no machine. I book them all myself.
Yeah.
However I can get them,
No, you're doing a great job, man. You've had some fucking legends. Like I have a little thing with Jericho where I'll be like, how many Hall of Famers you got? And he's like, I got Paul Stanley, I got this and that. I'm like, I've had Kirk Hammett, I had Duff McKagan, I had Lemmy.
Yeah.
But he's like, and it's tough because once you've done one, like once someone does his, they were like, I already just talked for a fucking hour. Now I got to talk to you for an hour?
Yeah.
And
it's also tough because when you get somebody, let's say like Gene Simmons, you're like, well, what the fuck am I going to ask him that he hasn't heard in 50 years,
You know what I'll tell you?
Yeah.
He had a great moment with our guitar player, Frank. They had like a heartfelt conversation about Bill Aucoin.
Yeah, Bill Aucoin, awesome. The manager, man, that's a great thing. I want to talk to him about other stuff. He loves comedy. I also want to talk to him about the Elder record and doing the movie Runaway, with Tom Selleck.
Why don't you go on the cruise and I'll go on the cruise? I got to hit up John 5. What my idea is, because the Jericho cruise is the same boat as the Kiss cruise. They're going to come in, they're going to fucking swap it all out, swap out the art, the banners, the lights, everything, and it's just going to turn into, it's the same boat.
Right.
So I'm thinking if I do the Jericho cruise, I'll just get out and then I'll get on and I'll do the Kiss cruise. But I'm thinking what we should do, since I'm hearing Ace is going to be on the cruise.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he is. I heard that, yeah.
It might already be sold out. We might be shit out of luck. Maybe we could get a hookup through Doc or through Snake, but I think we should go on and host podcasts. And even if we don't get Kiss, there's going to be enough people on there where we could do a bunch of great episodes. And then we'll get to see like those Elder songs on the way out, like acoustic. We'll get to hear Naked City. We'll get to hear all those songs that we don't get to hear.
Yeah, man.
And because they've trademarked End of the Road.
I saw that, yeah.
We need to go now. If we're going to see them, now is the time.
Yep.
And that was the point I was going to make with this whole Motorhead cruise thing. I feel so lucky that we were there. We got to see, because even Slayer's now retiring.
Yep.
And
I was at Lemmy's last birthday. At the whiskey. I was there. Me and Florentine and Jim Norton all went, and my buddy Red Band, and we had the time of our life that night. And then I saw him a few weeks before that on Saxon Motorhead tour, and so I saw him on the last hurrah, man. But that birthday, I was there. I got it's like one of my prizes, the Lemmy laminate. 70th birthday,
amazing,
the cake, everything, man.
And if you love music and you love loud amps in the face, you gotta go. You gotta do it now. Like,
gotta go, man.
But even that, concert people are different from music people.
Yeah.
And so when I was watching all those bands on that boat, and I'm watching like some of the best players, some of the best songwriters, and so all the and the egos. They weren't out of control. Like, out of all those bands, those are the ones that can be excluded.
Yeah.
Like, it was so cool to see everybody, and then the fans, they weren't like punishers. Like, I thought we were like, people were all socializing and out and about, and nobody was like, there wasn't a lot of
I think it's a different atmosphere.
Yeah, there wasn't the close talking and the punishing.
Close talking.
It was
fucking neck grabbers.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and so that's why I think maybe we should consider doing the Kiss cruise thing.
I would do it, man, if you could get us on. I don't want to pay. I don't got that kind of money, but I would go and do it.
I'll find out, because
we go out there and we just interview dudes, man.
Yeah.
Plus, we could probably do a little iPhone film documentary of like a heavy metal parking lot, but heavy metal boat. Nobody's done that one yet. Just
Dude,
dudes in Speedos, tanked with nut sacks hanging out, sunburn. People refuse to wear sunblock.
Yeah.
You ever see these lobsters?
Yeah.
They're playing shuffleboard, just torched with melanoma.
Me and Brian Posehn, we were up in the balcony and we were just looking down at these maniacs, and they're doing cannonballs in the pool. And so then when we played, it was in the middle of a storm and the boat is like rocking.
Fuck, yeah.
And people were circle pitting in a pool.
Wow.
It was sick. It was so much fun, and it was just a different vibe. So yeah, so Frank was telling me, you know, since we were seeing all those motorboaters, as we call them, he was like, I've seen a lot of people from the Kiss Cruise at our meet and greets. Now they come to Hatebreed shows to talk to Frank because they know he's the Kiss Army in our band.
Right.
And the pick collectors, you know, so many pick collectors come to talk to Frank. And so he had told people the story about Gene, of, you know, how he really bonded with Gene about talking about Bill Aucoin. And Gene said to Frank, he's like, you know, Bill was one of these people who's scared of doctors. And if he had just gone, if he had gone
alive
to the doctors, he'd be alive. Same thing with Dio.
Yeah.
Like I had Dio on Headbangers Ball. It was the Lemmy, Dio, Bruce Dickinson. I was in my glory.
Whoa.
I was at the PNC Bank.
Right.
And we're there. I got my microphone, my producer, everybody's there. And Lemmy's like, I'm not going to do it unless I can smoke on camera. Then they're calling Viacom and all that stuff. I'm like, it's Lemmy. Will you just let him fucking smoke on camera? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So I'm all stressed out. I'm freaking out. And I got to fly to a show that night. I had a gig.
Yeah.
And then Bruce Dickinson's being a dick, and he's coming out and he's like looking at the sky while I'm talking to him and just being a total dick. And I'm like, and I have a thing, like my life thing is like there's no win or lose. Like you just have to, it's a win or learn. You got to like just like there's like some MMA coach who said this. I heard this and I was like, that's great. That's going to be my new thing. And so at that time I was like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to learn from this asshole. I'm not going to do this to people.
Right.
I'm never going to be this guy, like being a dick. And everybody's allowed to have a bad day.
Yep.
And I'm sure Bruce is totally cool now. If you ever get him on the podcast.
Oh, he'll never do. I mean, Bruce on a podcast. Has he been on one?
He did Jericho's. But you know what Jericho said?
What?
It was all fine and dandy when the mics were on, but the second the mics were off, he was peace out. Didn't even say goodbye to Jericho.
Wow.
Who's like a huge fucking star. A bigger star than him in some rights.
Wow.
Right? Like
I mean, Bruce Dickinson's a goddamn god.
I don't know though. Bruce could walk out here right now.
Oh, yeah.
And he'd be pretty fucking incognito, whereas Jericho
100%.
motherfuckers would be pulling up cars and yelling and
But
fucking being like, you're on the list.
Number of the Beast, dude.
Killer.
Oh,
Killer. But
there's no better record.
No, it's up there, man.
Oh,
it really
my
is.
God.
Actually, Killers is better.
Well, I mean, you know, it's just, I mean, just think, that's back when bands
You know how
had,
hard it was not to say, you're not even on my favorite fucking Maiden record. Asshole. But anyways, so Dio comes out, sweetest, nicest guy ever, talks to me, says, Hatebreed, yes, we're playing together. We're playing in Mexico together. And so then we go to Mexico, we play Twisted Sister. We were like the black sheep on the show. Played together, saw him in the hotel. He's drinking red wine. We're talking. Amazing. I tell him about Frank, our guitar player, who wasn't in the band at that point. I said, his neighbors know Dio live at the Spectrum because of him, and it's not by choice.
Right.
They know every word, and because we've sang every word with you, me and Frank, one of my best friends. So then we have Frank join our band. We're like, fuck it. We're always flying him out. He's always on tour with us. Might as well just put him in the band.
Wow.
So we put him in the band. We go to Japan. We're opening for Dio in Japan, and he's about to go on stage. And I see the tour manager. I said, "Could we say hi quickly?" With a bring him in. So, and I had told Dio this story back in 2005. This is now 2009. So we go in, and I go, "Oh, this is Sean. This is Chris. This is Matt. This is Frank." And he goes, "Frank? Oh, is this the Frank?"
Wow, he remembered
that you told me. And Frank looked at me like he had that memory, that kindness, and that memory.
Man.
So like I just try to be like Dio, but Dio was another one. They said if he had caught it sooner. So now I tell all these rockers, it's all cool to be fucking punk and metal, whatever, but go to the fucking doctor. Like I go to the ear, nose, and throat guy. I'm going to the dermatologist tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
Like when I land.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, that's with me. I quit sugar. It's like, you know, I got diabetes now. It's gone. It's like, You got to get your shit together, man, because you'll be dead. That's all there is to it.
And life's too short, man.
People are
Lemmy's
just
gone.
dying. Yeah. Lemmy's
Dio's gone.
Dio's gone.
Fucking,
You know,
it's
Tom Petty's gone.
Oh, that's the
That's
worst.
Brutal, you know.
Who is this guy? I forget his name. Or some comedian, or not a comedian. Maybe he was an actor or an actor-y comedian. Anyways, I wrote something about Tom Petty, and then he tweeted me something. Know what I did now? Anybody who doesn't follow me is muted.
Muted. Oh, really?
There's a new setting.
Yeah.
Twitter changed their policy.
Uh-huh.
You got to do that.
Yeah.
It is incredible. Because if you don't follow me, if you're not a fan, if you're not a supporter,
now you're just coming to spew hate.
What the fuck do I care what you think?
Yeah. Whoa, so if they don't follow you, they can't talk in your timeline.
Yeah.
Or it just mutes it. They're talking, but it's going into
into the ether.
Yeah.
Into the matrix.
Yeah.
Wow. So I put out a tweet, and D must have retweeted the tweet. I basically said, name a fucking better song than Free Fallin', I dare you. But I was in my bunk. It was late at night.
It's a great song.
And we had like one of those little Bluetooth speakers, and it came on. And, you know, with the way the bunks are, you know, you have our bass player's underneath me, my tour manager's across, our drummer's across from me, down. And so Free Fallin' comes on, and we're all feeling it. And we're fucking barreling down the highway at 3 a.m. and we're like, can you fucking believe that we'll never get to see this live?
Oh, I saw the last show.
You're a lucky man.
Saw the last show, Hollywood Bowl. Still can't believe it. Still shakes me up.
Incredible. Well, dude, I'm envious of you because we were so bummed. So I just put out, like, name a better song. And since I forget what the guy's name is. But anyways, he's like, there is no better song. It's he did one of these things, like, and so that was when I did the mute. Fucking,
you found the new setting.
Yeah, the mute the people who don't follow me. And then people are like, yeah, tell them, bro. Like, no, motherfucker. Yeah. There is no better song.
I'm gonna look up that setting big time. Dude, thanks for doing the episode, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
How great is that, man? I'll be in New York all summer if you want to hang out.
Yeah, let's do my show.
Yeah.
And let's do an episode of How Awesome Is This?
Yep.
But can we do it about the US Festival? Because I just watched that.
Oh, dude, I was there.
You were there?
I was there, dude.
Perfect. Okay, because I already pitched this to a bunch of different people.
I was fucking there.
And they either hadn't seen it or they didn't know what I was talking about. And I was like,
that's the
I don't know if we can be friends.
That's the day metal changed, and that is one of the most underrated days in music history of all time. Because that is exactly when the industry goes, oh, we need to start signing every long-haired motherfucker going. That fucking day. That day.
When I saw that, I hate to say this publicly, but I will. When I saw that, I said, I don't know if I can like the Clash.
Oh, I was there. Clash was great, man. I'm telling you. That was the last show.
But save it for the podcast. Because
that's the last show with the original lineup. I'll just leave it with that.
When Dave came out and said, this ain't no fucking iced tea in this bottle. Well, this ain't the Clash. I was like, oh, shit. I might have to choose sides.
The Clash is one of my top 5 favorite bands of all time.
But you can also like Van Halen.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you didn't. So you didn't have to choose a side.
No
you didn't
fucking
feel it.
way.
See, I had to. I think I was like.
Well, that's how life was when we were young. I didn't let anybody know I was playing Purple Rain every day at home when I got out of school. What are you crazy? But I played Purple Rain. Then I also play fucking, London Calling, and then I'd play Devo. We're Through Being Cool. It's all on my fucking player.
That's awesome. I mean? Well, Rock the Casbah just came on and the other day, and somebody was like, "Oh, this is when they went fucking." I was like, "What?
Yeah,
that shit jams, bro."
Dude, no one's fucking more original than that band. No one. I mean, the way they took that New York kind of hip hop and that reggae and that punk rock and put it all into one thing. Who the fuck did that? No one. Man.
Yeah, game over.
Incredible.
And then
it's so authentic. It didn't be like, look at these guys trying to play ska reggae. Like later on when bands would do it, white guys playing ska or reggae. No, that shit is next level.
And then you see the videos, like 100,000 people bopping in unison,
dude,
going crazy, flags
Yankee
in the air.
Stadium opening for the Who. I saw them open for the Who, at Oakland, but that's a live footage that they got. That shit is insane, man. And then, of course, when they played in London on the London Calling Tour, you watch that stuff. I think it's at the Hammersmith Odeon, one of those. It's like, what?
Yeah.
No one better than Joe Strummer.
Yeah.
I saw him solo also.
You're a real music dude.
Oh, I love it, man.
And that's the best people, man. Salt of the earth people. And that's keeping that stuff alive so these kids can, and without sounding like the bitter old guy, that's what these kids need. They need to go and see a video of the US Festival. They need to go see a video of the Clash opening for the Who.
Yeah.
Because the real music people, the real salt of the earth people that know that when those albums come on and they go, that's my jam. That's the soundtrack of my life. Come on, these kids really, is fucking Cardi B gonna be the soundtrack of your life?
No.
Get a fucking grip.
That's what I love about this podcast. I get emails daily. Dude, I never even heard of this band. I just shot that UFO record right there on Instagram. People are like, oh man, this is great. What is this?
Yeah.
Anytime I turn somebody on to anything, it's like a win.
Fuck yeah, because then they'll get the bug, and eventually a lot of people, they'll go down the rabbit hole, and then they'll go on. Me, I used to go in the back of the Village Voice and just call every club to try to get a show, or I'd go in the back of the New Haven Advocate. But now what people will do is, I don't know if there is still like free papers where they'll open it up, but they'll go online and they'll go to like Polestar and they'll go to their city and they'll go, fuck it, I'm going to see fucking Pentagram or whatever, and then they'll go.
There's some kind of app. What's it called? Like
Bands in Town.
Yeah.
And then when they make the jump and they go, and if the experience is positive and they get loud amps in the face, then we get to live another day. Guys like me get to fucking do it another time.
We get to step on wood, as I say.
Yep.
Thanks, dude. Instagram.
At Jamey Jasta, JameyJasta, and it's the Jasta Show on iTunes, SoundCloud.
And Gaslamp Digital.
Gas Digital Network. Oh, if anybody wants to subscribe to Gas Digital Network, use my code JASTA. I got a visual show that's going to be launched too, called Metal Dudes Doing Non-Metal Things.
Rad.
And yeah, we got Lisa Ann, Bruce Buffer, Michael Bisping, Louis J. Gomez, Big J. Okerson. We got a lot of people coming into the network. It's good.
That's fucking great, man. Thanks for doing the podcast. And
anytime.
Looking forward to hearing that D. Snider record, man.
I got to play some stuff.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. That is cool. And I'll see you in New York.
Awesome. We'll do it.
There you go, man. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes. Also, my YouTube channel. All the podcasts are available on YouTube, Stitcher, All Things Comedy, SoundCloud, all over the fucking place. Thank you. Candles lit.